and simple, so every moment matters. When at work and go out, we all long for every communication, not blocked by space, not disturbed by the environment, not delayed. Let our needs be heard clearly at the first time. RETEVIS walkie-talkie. Listen carefully to every customer's voices. Understand deeply the demands and make it happen in the different scene applications. Offer longer distance transmission solutions. Deliver crystal clear and dependable voice. Help you finish barrier-free communication. Together with our employees, customers, and partners, we work together for better communication. For industrial, for construction site, for hospitality, RETEVIS walkie-talkie boost your business running smoothly and efficiently in the desert, in snowy mountains, in the forest. RETEVIS walkie-talkie help you conquer every moment. For critical rescue moment, for extreme weather moment, for emergency preparations moment. RETEVIS walkie-talkie work together with you for a greater value. RETEVIS walkie-talkie committed to the scene applications of communication technology. Make communication easier. RETEVIS. We are together.
Radios for decades. What I respect about RETEVIS is they actually listen to operators like me. Before they launch something new, they ask for feedback through forums, social media, even one-on-one conversations. I've shared feedback on radios like the HD one. RETEVIS makes updates, improves the software, and keeps the gear evolving. It feels good to know our voices are heard. That's why I trust RETEVIS.
With the mature application of communication technology, communication in groups require more instant, efficient, and simple, so every moment matters. When at work and go out, we all long for every communication, not blocked by space, not disturbed by the environment, not delayed. Let our needs be heard clearly at the first time. RETEVIS walkie-talkie. Listen carefully to every customer's voices. Understand deeply the demands and make it happen in the different scene applications. Offer longer distance transmission solutions. Deliver crystal clear and dependable voice. Help you finish barrier-free communication. Together with our employees, customers, and partners, we work together for better communication. For industrial, for construction site, for hospitality, RETEVIS walkie-talkie boost your business running smoothly and efficiently in the desert, in snowy mountains, in the forest. RETEVIS walkie-talkie help you conquer every moment. For critical rescue moment, for extreme weather moment, for emergency preparations moment. RETEVIS walkie-talkie work together with you for a greater value. RETEVIS walkie-talkie committed to the scene applications of communication technology. Make communication easier. RETEVIS. We are together.
Radios for decades. What I respect about RETEVIS is they actually listen to operators like me. Before they launch something new, they ask for feedback through forums, social media, even one-on-one conversations. I've shared feedback on radios like the HD one. RETEVIS makes updates, improves the software, and keeps the gear evolving. It feels good to know our voices are heard. That's why I trust RETEVIS.
With the mature application of communication technology, communication in groups require more instant, efficient, and simple, so every moment matters. When at work and go out, we all long for every communication, not blocked by space, not disturbed by the environment, not delayed. Let our needs be heard clearly at the first time. RETEVIS walkie-talkie. Listen carefully to every customer's voices. Understand deeply the demands and make it happen in the different scene applications. Offered longer distance transmission solutions. Deliver crystal clear and dependable voice. Help you finish barrier-free communication. Together with our employees, customers, and partners, we work together for better communication. For industrial, for construction site, for hospitality, RETEVIS walkie-talkie boost your business running smoothly and efficiently in the desert, in snowy mountains, in the forest. RETEVIS walkie-talkie help you conquer every moment. For critical rescue moment, for extreme weather moment, for emergency preparations moment. RETEVIS walkie-talkie work together with you for a greater value. RETEVIS walkie-talkie committed to the scene applications of communication technology. Make communication easier. RETEVIS. We are together.
Radios for decades. What I respect about RETEVIS is they actually listen to operators like me. Before they launch something new, they ask for feedback through forums, social media, even one-on-one conversations. I've shared feedback on radios like the HD one. RETEVIS makes updates, improves the software, and keeps the gear evolving. It feels good to know our voices are heard. That's why I trust RETEVIS.
With the mature application of communication technology, communication in groups require more instant, efficient, and simple, so every moment matters. When at work and go out, we all long for every communication, not blocked by space, not disturbed by the environment, not delayed. Let our needs be heard clearly at the first time. RETEVIS walkie-talkie. Listen carefully to every customer's voices. Understand deeply the demands and make it happen in the different scene applications. Offered longer distance transmission solutions. Deliver crystal clear and dependable voice. Help you finish barrier-free communication. Together with our employees, customers, and partners, we work together for better communication. For industrial, for construction site, for hospitality, RETEVIS walkie-talkie boost your business running smoothly and efficiently in the desert, in snowy mountains, in the forest. RETEVIS walkie-talkie help you conquer every moment. For critical rescue moment, for extreme weather moment, for emergency preparations moment. RETEVIS walkie-talkie work together with you for a greater value.
On radios like the HD one, RETEVIS makes updates, improves the software, and keeps the gear evolving. It feels good to know our voices are heard. That's why I trust RETEVIS.
Hello, everyone. Hi. We're live now. Can you help me? Hi, we're live now. Okay, let me see my old friends. Hello, Barry. Hi, out there. Hi, Peter. Hello. Okay, is my voice okay now? Yeah, my name's Julia. Oh, sorry, I forgot to type my name. Sorry, so sorry about that. Hello, hi. Okay, if you can help me, please drop hi in the comments and let me know. Hi out there. Oh, hi, Aaron. Okay, hi, we're getting soon. Okay, sounds great. I think so. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to RETEVIS AIlunce special screen. I'm your girlfriend Julia. Hi. Okay, I'm so happy to see many familiar faces here. I'm sure many of you have joined quite a few RETEVIS AIlunce stream before, but this is the first time you will experience something new like this. And today, we're not selling anything. We're only talking about a topic that matters most to harms. And the person hosting the dream, it might not just be me, and it could be any one of you watching right now. Trust me, it's going to be exciting. And here are probably quite a few friends in stream who's never joined us before. So let me briefly introduce our brand first. Okay, RETEVIS was founded in 2010 and has been around for 15 years now. We have been deeply involved into a radio and we are well known across commercial, industrial, extreme dreams, outdoor, casual outdoor, and home communities. AIlunce is RETEVIS home product line, and our principle is being creators, not just consumers. Okay, I guess some of you guys know that is our principle, being creators, not just consumers. And we'll listen to our users' voice, keep innovating, and create home products that our customers truly love. Whether it's RETEVIS or AIlunce, we always believe that together, and we start from real user scenarios and solve practical problems. And in the last 2 years, we have launched many popular products, RETEVIS AIlunce, HA1UV, HA1G, HA2. Here is HA2. It's our new model. And the RA89 series, I'm sure you're all familiar with them because many of our friends have already bought and used them. Okay, to thanks all our friends, your support and recognition of brand and products. We'll launch the Ham Still Hot Global KOC Connection program this year. This program includes 5 parts, and I will walk you through each one. Okay, starting from customers have always been our company's principle. Co-creating with customers is also basic policy we have always followed. You may remember that in our previous stream, many fans joined us and we absolutely love their brilliant performance. We truly treasure those conversations. Also, many customers have constantly give us great suggestions for products and tested our prototypes. Without all of you, there would be no us. So today, right here, we're thrilled to announce the launch of our Hub Still Hot Global KOC Connection Program. And the first is live stream co-creation. Okay, yeah, live stream co-creation. Like today's our first episode. And breaking the one-way communication on social media, we will connect through live streams to deepen our conversation. And each month we'll set up themes for everyone. We'll invite 5 to 10 friends to join the discussion. You can also customize your own theme and host a stream. The second, content co-creation. We'll take your great comments, reviews, and footage, edit them, and post them on our social media accounts. We'll clearly credit who it comes from and tag you, so your voice can be seen by more people and help more even harms. And next one is product co-creation. We will regularly invite customers to join early beta tests of a new product. You will get our new gear first, try it out, and then we'll optimize based on your needs and feedback. We also invite you to beta test for more upgrades. And next one is the event co-creation. We'll truly co-create online or offline events without you. We can sponsor small home community gatherings. You can represent us as the event organizer and help separate the word offline. And the last one is wealth co-creation. If you want to sell our products, and we offered a year-round commission of 5% to 8%. Okay, that's the first piece of good news I want to share with you today. I hope everyone in the stream will actively join us and help create even more exciting shows and products. Okay, if you are interested in and wanting to know more, just DM us at the RETEVIS AIlunce Facebook page. Yeah, you're gonna face a message, Julia. That's our global KOC connection program, and today marks beginning of our very first live stream co-creation episode. Okay, this time we're very fortunate to have invite 7 friends. I'm gonna invite them now. Wait a second. Okay, hey everyone.
Hey, how you doing?
Hello. How's it going?
Okay, you can say hi to our audience.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome out there on the interweb.
Good evening, everyone.
How about we introduce a brief introduce one by one?
Hi, I'm David. I'm KC1PEN, a general class operator. I am in Connecticut in the United States, and I've been licensed for about 5 years. Next.
I'm Scott. I'm in West Virginia, KF8EZY. I got my technician ticket, give or take, about 6-8 months ago. I've been using GMRS and stuff for a little bit longer than that. But yes, I've been into radio for quite a while. And that's pretty much all I've got. Moving on.
Hey,
Hey everybody, I'll go next. Aaron, KK7WRA, out of sunny, warm Arizona. Had my tech for probably about a year, was into GMRS for a long time before this, and on to the next.
Scott Weber. Okay,
Oh.
Mark, you go first.
Okay, no problem. Hi, everyone. My name is Mark. My call sign is G3MRK. I've got a Class A license, and I've been licensed since 1990, I think. So yeah, a bit of a veteran to ham radio. I started off on CB radio and shortwave listening, and progressed to ham radio, and absolutely love it.
Hello, my name is Merzuke. My call sign is Tango Alpha 7 Yankee Lima Yankee, and from Turkey. I am interested in 3 years in ham radio, and I am working is very other remote station in Croatia, Slovenia, and Canada, and I am interested in field activity in POTA, JOTA, and Flora-Fauna. And thank you so much.
Hey, Aaron.
Oh, I wasn't sure if you guys could hear me. I'm
Yeah.
Aaron, KK7WRA out of sunny Phoenix, Arizona. Had my tech license for probably about a year now and was in a GMRS for a while.
Scott Weaver. Can you help me? Okay, it's okay. I gotta introduce the Scott Weaver. He is our old friends. I guess many of you have seen and know him before, and he joined our joined face group, like AIlunce and survivor group, and he is very with a good heart, is helpful and help others to solve some of their issues. Okay, I gotta. Hey, welcome back.
Hey, Julia. For some reason, I could hear some of the participants, but not you or a couple of the others. So had to
Oh, it's
jump
okay.
out and
It's
back
okay.
in real quick.
Just a short introduction yourself.
Hey, my name's Scott. I'm in North Carolina in the United States. Whiskey 4 Echo Victor, W4EV. Been a ham for 22 years as of this week. Enjoy many modes within the hobby. Mobile, base, so on. Also GMRS user, and I'll kind of touch on that as we get into the discussion, but glad to be here this evening.
Great. And today, I also invite Scott Portfeld be our co-host. Yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you, Julia.
Yeah, so we're gonna move you guys. Just left me and Scott.
Sorry if you hear that. That's my H2 going off, HA2 here going off. So turn that off there.
Okay, yeah, great. Okay, I'm gonna moving on. Thank you for joining our. Thank you again to all our guests for joining us today. Now let me go over the rules of this stream. If you're watching and find this topic interesting, just click the invitation link to the comment section to join us on the screen. Once you are in, you can speak your mind freely anytime you have idea, anytime you want your voice to be heard. You are welcome to jump in. And let me also emphasize our stream's rules will respect your openings. As long as you don't touch politics, don't spam ads for computers, don't attack anyone personally, we warmly welcome you. Also, please share the stream link to your Facebook page and send to friends and post your favorite group so more people can see and hear what we're talking. We're always welcome. Okay, now we'll dive into our today's topic.
All right. So I guess I'll take it from here a little bit. So basically what we're wanting to discuss a little bit today, if you've been around the ham radio community for any point in time or looked at Reddit or just Googled it anywhere on Facebook or anything, you eventually run across people talking about, is ham radio dead, or ham radio is a dying art, or if you read through this Reddit post that this person here had put up a couple of years ago, it's a wonderful story here. If you take the time to read through it, I'm not going to read it word for word for you, but the person goes through a little story here about how his father was a longtime ham that had passed away, and the author of this hadn't ever really gotten into ham radio, anything of that nature. But he remembered fondly some of the stuff his dad was doing as a ham operator. So as he was recollecting on that kind of stuff, he started thinking, maybe he'd want to try to get into the ham world. He had, like I said, never done anything with that. So as he was going through that, he started doing the studying, taking the test and all of that, and finally got his first level license. And as he got his first level license, of course, they were saying, hey, you should go ahead and keep on going, go to your next level, all that good stuff. So he continued to pursue it and saw that it wasn't just a ham radio, but there are other options of having, the echo links and that kind of stuff, all of the new age ham technology that they have. So he pursued that kind of stuff, kind of jumped into the deep end, as it would be for when it comes to ham radio and all of that. But as he went further down his ham journey, he was realizing that he was doing a lot of calling out, and he would get back just little bits and pieces here and there. It wasn't as talkative as, when you compare it to like CB radios, when you hear the truck drivers on the interstate and it's just constant chatter. And ham radio wasn't like that. He'd turn his radio on and he wouldn't hear anything, or he'd call out and he might have someone call back and just have a short little conversation and nothing more than that. Or they might call back and just say, hey, your signal sounds great. And he says, well, it should. I'm technically using the internet to carry my signal, or using my cell phone to carry the signal. So, by all intents and purposes, it should be a good signal. So as this kind of progressed with his journey, he was saying, with all of this going on, is ham radio a dying art? And he just was questioning as he goes, is it just a hobby? Is this something that's actually going on? Is it something that's worth time to invest into learning all this kind of stuff? So that's kind of where this went. It was just his journey after his father passed away and wanting to just kind of explore what ham radio is and questioning, is this still a viable thing?
Okay, I think so. And I guess many people maybe think that's old news, but I think still in today, the topic isn't outdated or in fact more worth in revisiting than ever.
Yeah, I agree. I actually just had this conversation today on my ham radio. Just a few hours ago, I went into town, went to go pick up some food for myself and my family. And anytime I've got the habit that anytime I'm in my vehicle, I just throw my call sign out on my ham radio on our repeater network here. Just, open up friendly chat. And if somebody wants to chat about anything, we'll talk while I'm driving just to kind of pass the time. And one of my buddies that lives here in town called back to me. And we discussed some things, some projects I've got going on here. And we were talking about that with ham radio and just how a lot of people out there don't understand what ham radio is. It almost has a bit of a stigma, like, someone that doesn't know much about ham radio and you mention a ham radio to them, they immediately jump to the 70-year-old guy sitting in his basement by himself, pressing the button and hoping to talk to somebody. And that's the stigma that everybody that doesn't know what radio is just has in their mind of a ham radio operator. And while I'm not going to be prejudiced and say that there is no 70-year-old man sitting in his basement with a ham radio, that's not just what ham radio is. So we were discussing that a little bit and talking about, that yes, while in today's world, it is much easier to pick up a cell phone and make a phone call, or to text your buddy to make dinner plans or whatever. We were reflecting on here, at least in my part of the world, and I can't speak for Mars or Mark over, across the ocean, but here where I am, it hasn't been that many years since we had a pretty large disaster roll through this area, and cell phone towers were down for 48 hours. Power was out for weeks. So whether cell phone towers are functional or not, if you can't charge your cell phone, you can't make those phone calls. You can't send those texts. And the only thing that people had for any type of communication was ham radios and GMRS radios. So in that aspect, whether you want to think ham radio is dying or not, at that point in time, the only communication people had was through radios. And if it wasn't for ham operators, people wouldn't have had any communications at all. So whether or not you want to consider a dying art or not, it's still, to me, an art that's alive and well. And that's what led me to getting my eventual technician license that I have now.
So when you're making a call, can you get a reply always?
Where I am, unless it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, if I call out and I have a question, usually I will get a call back. It's almost guaranteed for where I am.
Okay. So let's finish this part. And now I'm going to invite the first of a guest to share his opening. And let us see. Scott Weaver, are ready?
Hey,
Scott.
Julia. Hey,
Yeah.
Julia. Hey, Scott. Glad to be here with y'all co-hosting tonight. Building a little bit on what Scott said and putting my own take on things here. It's really kind of interesting, when you look at the numbers. I'm not going to bore everyone with a bunch of numbers tonight, but you look in 2000, shortly before I was licensed, there were 655,000 ham operators worldwide. And that's grown by about 16% to about 780,000 in 2025. About a 16% growth. Now, unfortunately, that's only about half of the global population increase. So you can argue we're losing ground, but I'd challenge that. I really would challenge that. When I think using this analogy is going to kind of paint a picture. When I was a kid, I'm 58. When I was a kid and I watched TV in the evenings at home, there were maybe 3, 4 stations, depending on how the weather was cooperating, that I had to watch. So if I went to school the next day and talked to my friends, hey, did you watch this show last night? There's probably a 1 in 3, 1 in 4 chance that they did also if they had the TV on. Nowadays, I can go in and say, hey, did y'all watch this last night? We've got more networks, we've got streaming services, people have cable, satellite, and all that. So that probability that we watch the same show is much less. What does this have to do with ham radio? I'm looking at it, we've got an increase in numbers of operators. That's a good thing. We also have, as technology's evolved, more opportunities than ever. When you look at the folks that pioneered the hobby, they had CW first, of course, sideband, phone on sideband, FM and AM as things progressed. And nowadays we're blessed with the technology. We've got D-Star, DMR, Fusion, FT8, RIDI, PSK31, on and on, even slow scan or fast scan TV. So we've got more out there than ever. That's the equivalent to the plethora of TV channels. And I think that's what makes it a little harder sometimes to find someone to talk to. The bands appear more vacant, but people are scattered out, but they can also go into whatever their personal interest is and delve as deep into that as they want, or just scrape the surface. So I think one of the keys there, as Scott mentioned, you get in your vehicle, throw your call out. You pick up the HT, throw your call out. But don't forget to explore the other advances and additional modes that are out there. There's more users than ever, or more license operators than ever, but it's really easy to lose sight of the fact if I don't get an answer on that 2-meter repeater like I did 20 years ago when I was licensed, that doesn't mean the people aren't out there. Switch on my DMR radio, grab that RT3S, pick it up, and go out there and on one of the local talk groups or one of the talk groups I know is busy and find someone there. If that doesn't work, when I get home from my drive, fire up the HF rig. Go scouting on there for some activity. People are doing the POTA and summits activations. So a lot of activity there. But the one other thing I'll mention here, Oh, I think Scott touched on it, and it's very relevant in my part of the United States. We've had some natural disasters come through, and that caused a great interest um, in both GMRS and ham operations. And, I can look at it in my personal case. My daughter always kind of tolerated this hobby of mine, but following a natural disaster in the area about a year and a half ago. Power was out for a week. Cell service was down for multiple days. She's like, Dad, how'd you stay in touch with anyone? I said, Sweetie, my radios. I said, I was not bored and people knew I was well. And guess who went and got their GMRS license and is considered a ham license? My daughter and her family. So we'll see where it goes. But one of the other things that was also great out of that is a lady that encouraged community participation with GMRS as a quick way into radio, has also brought a lot of youth into the um, ham radio and GMRS radio folds. Runs a full youth net that is packed with people willing to talk to those kids weekly basis here. And we've got some 7 and 8-year-old net operators that can hold their own against the well seasoned veterans. My thoughts on it, I think the hobby's anything but dying. It's just evolving and we need to evolve with it.
I agree 100% with you. Just because, a lot of people that I've talked to, that aren't as up to date with current technology. Some people aren't fans of the whole echo links and, especially start talking about DMR and throwing all other stuff in there. They're wanting to be more traditional with what ham used to be. But I'm the type of person, like I said, I came from GMRS first and then into ham. They're all different tools in the same toolbox for the same reason, right? It's just whatever application you've got, you might have a different tool for it. And that's why I like my GMRS, because, I've got my ham license that works for me. I can reach out my repeater network, and I can actually probably talk to you on the repeater network that we have down in North Carolina with
Right.
the Appalachian repeater network. And I think that's fantastic. But when I go out to my family property during hunting season with my family, none of them are licensed for anything. With my GMRS license, I can pass out a HT to everybody, and everybody's covered.
Exactly.
So it's one of those things that I think, as technology progresses with, like I said, DMR, Echo Link, all that stuff, it's just one of those things that we need to embrace it, use it when you need it, but keep a hold of, the old traditions with just your standard HT or an old 2-meter rig in your vehicle, and have that, because, no matter what, 2 meters isn't going anywhere, and 2 meters is tried and true. So keep an old dual band sitting in your vehicle, in your Radio Shack, wherever you got, and have that ready to go, because that's one of those things that no matter what, it's always going to have a place on the shelf, and it's always going to work.
Exactly. Agreed. And that's it. I think the newer technologies are a way to get new blood into the hobby. And then that allows the opportunity for them to learn the history where it came from. I'll even mention, there's been a huge drive in GMRS, and I've heard a lot of people see a lot of activity online and even decide to try it myself because it's new and I didn't want to get left behind. The POC radios. Technically a radio. No, it's not RF in the conventional sense, push to talk over cellular. But you know what? It's a hook. It gets someone interested. Maybe they progress to GMRS being the next easy step, or PMR if you're overseas. And next thing you know, that person's like, hey, this is really cool. But if the cell towers go down, this won't work. What can I do to get out? And like you say, next thing you know, they're learning about simplex. They're learning about HF. The progression, sometimes you got to progress by moving backwards to the basics. And I look at it, this new technology gets someone new into the hobby. There's plenty of opportunity to keep it alive and keep it interesting.
Exactly. And back to the DMR thing, I've chatted with Julia over in China with the DMR radio.
Right.
And just,
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that you just have to have a basic ham license to be able to get on DMR. So, you can show your buddy, hey, I can talk to someone in China sitting anywhere with this as long as I've got an internet connection. But then you tell them, but there's a way you can do that with no internet connection. You just have to have the right setup for it. And it's then just using a standard radio, and you have the right setup and the right antenna. And you could just bounce your signal all the way across the other side of the world. And then
Exactly.
that gets people thinking, so you can do this without the internet. So that gets the gears turning in their brain, and they realize, this is kind of cool that you can take this older technology that's been around since, honestly, back in the early 1900s when they started working in all this radio stuff. And they say, so you can do that without the internet. And like you said, that gets the interest there. And then it turns into well, I can do it, you can't. So that might get some new blood into looking into stuff. So yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to interrupt. I might have a stupid question. May I?
Certainly, go ahead.
No, you're the host.
Yeah.
You're amongst friends,
Yes.
Julia. Ask anything.
Yeah.
Yes, Scott Weaver just said when the radio's license, that doesn't mean nobody here. They just don't reply to you. Why? Why they don't reply to me?
Boy, I guess
Maybe
either of
they're
us
just
could run with that.
active. You go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's just a matter of the timing, but it's a matter of being persistent. I actually gave my brother an HT for Christmas. Now he lives a couple hours away from me, but we do have a couple repeaters we could hit in common. He is not licensed, but I encouraged him to listen. And I think one of the challenges there, even though he's almost my age, of course, being my brother, our world has evolved. And again, here we go. We got to stay up with times. But our world has evolved to a lot more of the instant gratification. That's not a bad thing. It's nice, going back to my analogy with TV channels. You can watch anything, anytime that strikes your interest. But it's not always that way when you turn the radio on. There are, as Scott mentioned there, I'm blessed living in the area where I do, even though I'm kind of remote. I have a lot of repeaters in a couple large cities near me that regardless of time of day or night, I can usually find someone on a repeater, even if it's not viable to use HF. So driving home from work after midnight, I can usually find a conversation. But again, I can't speak for locally there, but I think a challenge my brother has faced that may be a parallel with yours, he'll turn on the radio at 2 in the afternoon when he's kind of between doing some other things. 2 in the afternoon is not a good time to be on the radio typically.
Right.
You kind of get a dead spot there between people that may be on there during lunch or getting ready to go in on an afternoon shift, but no one's coming home yet. So, and then as I mentioned, Julia, what were you on? Was that on DMR?
I think you just like me. I got someone, they are just into listening. They don't want to speak. It's just like me.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm into listening.
And that's one of the things too that I think Scott touched on, and I'll touch on. Don't be afraid to pick up the mic and call out. For anyone that's licensed, pick up the mic and call out. I would really love to be able to see how many people are listening out there.
Yeah.
Even if only one answers, I'd put money on it. Some of these repeaters around here, there's 30 listening, but only one keyed up to answer. And that's just something you got to break that ice. And the more you get the roundtable conversations going, the more people will chime in.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we encourage everybody just pick a radio and make a call, because if you are like me, if I insist calling and make a call and nobody answer me, I'm gonna fall down. So I don't want to insist. I don't want to get into radio. I don't want deep into radio. So let's get started today. Just pick up a radio.
Yeah, and that's what I started doing when I first got my license. I didn't know what I was doing on ham radio. I'd seen and I'd heard people listening a little bit when I had my GMRS radios. I'd tune to a ham frequency here and there and just listen a little bit. But I just started by picking up my HT or my mic in my Jeep and just saying, KF8 EZY monitoring, and just leave it at that. And wait for someone else to call back to me and say, hey, never heard you on the airways before. I got your call sign. Where you're from, what's your QTH. And your radio sounds good. Where the repeaters here, where are you hitting it from? That kind of stuff. And just little bits turn into long conversations. And eventually, I've got 4 or 5 people I talk to here. There's actually an older gentleman that lives down in the southern part of the state that he lives by himself. It's just him and his dog. I think he said he's 85 years old, if I remember right. And he just picks up his radio occasionally to call out just to talk to people. That's the only outside contact he has. So everybody knows his call sign. Everybody knows his name. And when you hear him call out, people just chat with him for a little bit. And as we're going about our day, he'll sit there on the radio all day long and just open conversation with whoever's in there to talk to him for a few minutes. So that's all it is.
Don't afraid to take the first step.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna encourage me today to take the first step.
Yeah, just do it. Throw your call sign out there, you're listening, and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now thanks for sharing, Scott Weaver.
Certainly. Glad to be here. We'll let the other guests speak their mind. I'm really enjoying this format, Julia. Thank you for putting this together, and the folks there at RETEVIS and AIlunce. I love this format. I'll go ahead and turn it back to y'all.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next is Mike. Mike, are you ready? Hold on. Oh, wait. Where's Mike? Hey, Mike. Are you there? Can you hear me? Sorry, something wrong with your... I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. Sorry, just... I gotta move the next one. Mars, are you ready? Mars?
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, so sorry, something wrong with Mike's microphone.
Yeah,
so
no problem.
I will let you first.
Okay, no problem.
Might be working now. I'm not sure.
Oh, there we go. We got you, Mike.
There we go. Had to get off the headphone mic. There we go. Yeah, most of the stuff you guys, I've been on amateur radio for close to 40 years, and was a club member for, 35 of that. I didn't rejoin last year. You guys are really lucky that you have that. You pick up the microphone and somebody's there. We have lots of repeaters in my area. There's 4 repeaters that I can bring up on a handheld, actually 5, but they don't use them anymore. They do a Saturday check-in, this sort of thing. I was way back when we had Packet, APRS, IRLP, Echolink, and just last 2 years ago, I got back in, well, not back in, but into All-Star. And that's where I'm having the most fun. And now you can buy a really inexpensive radio. Back when I was playing around, they were $400 or $500 for a handheld, $1,000 for a mobile, which I still have all those. But my local group doesn't, why are you doing that? Why have you got so many nodes? And interesting, you mentioned DMR. I had to reach out to a guy in Germany to actually help me set up my DMR radio. Nobody around here was really into it much or interested in helping you. And so it's not dying, but you are right for the emergency communication stuff. Internet will go down. There is some other internet providers that will not go down. That's a whole different side story.
Right.
HF, I have the radios, I have the antennas, never really got much into it. But no, with this new technology, the price of the radios, the durability of the radios, I've got, 4 or 5 people that are amateurs, were kind of in a slouch, that are now back buying radios, too many radios.
Yeah.
And, but again, we're using RLP. I got my old node going again. It was actually 142 number out of, I forget how many thousands when they started 23 years ago. But everybody's got a different thing. But no, I do see it picking up. Maybe it was kind of dying, but in my area, not in you guys' area, but it sounds a little tall. But again, the new support, and there is support on some of the new suppliers and stuff now. Some of the older suppliers, not so much. But no, moving forward, this is really interesting. I'm on an all-star net, 10 o'clock every night out of Chicago. There's a big, and they connect worldwide. On Saturdays, there's a technology net out of Ontario, which goes for 3 hours. And the amount of people on there is just mind-boggling. But of course, it's internet, so people don't think that's ham radio. But hey, if Packet didn't exist, there would not be any internet. So I'll throw that one out there. Anyway, this is a great setup what you guys are doing here right now, and really interested in what's happening. So I'll switch it back to you, Julia, for the next person. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing, Mike. And okay, I also got a question for you. When you spend around $500 to buy a radio, does your beautiful wife agree to you?
I have an old Kenwood here, G7A, and I think they were almost $400. When I got the HS2, I actually brought it back out of the dust. It did fire up. It did work. But again, I've got some other brand names that were mobiles, D700s, 742s. Those things are $800, $1,000. Now, fair enough. They're 25 years old. They're actually just failing now. So they lasted a long time. But again, when you could pick up a handheld like the HA2, I don't know, I guess different parts of the world, but I mean, like $100 type of thing. Actually, I've got 3 friends now that I've turned them on to that. And I'm not sure if 2 of them already ordered them or not. I said, you got to try this thing out. Again, they were doing nothing. And now that I take us to the coffee meetings and I take it to the, like, where'd you get that? What's that all about? And so, yeah, trying to spark the interest with new gadgets. And I think that's going to work out great.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, what's our take on this, Scott?
So I just have to ask, your wife doesn't yell at you for buying all those radios and having spent that much money into it?
No, actually, she's bought me most of them. If it wasn't for Christmas or birthdays, the kids go to get. Well, go back to that. It's a good question. We're a little bit different that way. If we're going to buy something for Christmas or birthdays, it's something we want. So we actually tell them what we want. I'd like to have this if you guys can pool together. So then you don't get a pair of pink socks or something you didn't really want, or some other gadget you'll never use. So we all get kind of what we want. Is a surprise there? Yes, no, but everybody's kind of happy on Christmas or birthdays. So no, I mean, yeah. So most of I buy a lot of my own, of course, but and on multiples. I mean, you buy one, it's a different color. Oh, that's kind of cool. I better get that color. I better get that color. So you don't get me started on that because I've still got stuff in boxes I've never even opened yet.
So, yeah, that's fair enough.
I get that.
Yeah. So
one of those, I have it sitting on a shelf, and it's one of those I could count, but then I'd have to admit the addiction, and we don't discuss that.
Exactly.
Okay, how about when my birthday is coming, I make a wish. I want one more radio. I want one more radio. I want one more radio. I gotta make a wish as my birthday present.
See, for me, it's one of those. Well, this year I'm going kayaking, and how many friends would have going kayaking with me? Well, if I'm bringing someone else extra, I need to have another radio to cover them. And how many of those do I have now? I could always use one more. And then, of course, I have an extra in case one gets lost in the river or something. Oh, that's never happened, but you never know. So you have to have the extra to cover that. So, it turns into, well, I've got 5 people. I need at least 10 radios to cover all 5 people. Yeah, and it just becomes exponential.
There's also some of the other suppliers out there that have open source. So the radio is not too bad out of the box, but then there's people all around the world that make different firmware that just totally take that $40 radio, I'm going to call it, and turn it into a $500 radio equivalent that you would have bought years ago. And so you buy one of those radios and then, they got a new firmware. I don't delete that firmware. I just get another radio and add the new firmware, and so on and so forth. So it is good when they do have the open source stuff. Anyway, back to you there, Scott.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, and I will also agree with that because you know you never know when you're gonna have that redundancy. You might have a problem with the one that you just got, so you got the old one that's already tried and true. You didn't mess with it, so you know it's going to work the way you want it to. So no, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem with that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing, Mike. You did a very good job. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I'm gonna invite our next guest. Mars, are you ready? Okay. Hi, Mars.
Hi, Julie.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Today's topic asks a very powerful question. Is ham radio dying? And my answer is clear. No. But be more accurate, ham radio is not dying. It is simply moving beyond all habits and evolving. Because the world is changing, technology is changing, the way people communicate is changing, and amateur radio is not changing, just a survive. It is changing in other the growth. Today, amateur radio is no longer only about sitting in front of a microphone. It has become a modern space where technology, creative community, and the exploration come together. In today's work, everyone can communicate through in the internet, but the different with amateur radio is this: we don't just consume communication is ready. Midway, we build it our servers. First, a signal to reach the other side, you need the right antenna, the right setting, the right propagation, sometimes the right timing, and often a lot of patience. That is why amateur radio is still extremely available to me. Because it offers something very rare in the modern world, the experience of the building something from scratch. And for me, and of the most critical parts of amateur radio future is remote station, digital models, and new technologies. Some people see this development as something that could harm the spirit of the ham radio. But I believe the opposite. These technologies do not weaken a ham radio. They give it a new dimension. Today, an amateur radio can experience station and in the different country, join contests more easy, abroad propagation differences, and learn new systems. Even people who do not have access to strong equipment or antennas can still be active. And I think this is the most important point. The new generation is growing up with technology, SDR, software, digital modes, and online system are nurtured for them. If amateur radio does not adapt to this work, it will be not die. It will simply become invisible. That is why remote system and digital technologies are not a threat to a ham radio. They are huge opportunity. This is not just making things easier. This is evolution. On the other hand, field activity, POTA, JOTA, SOTA, and Flora-Fauna, in my opinion, the most alive and excited side of ham radio, because you are not just making QSO, you are building your antenna, you adapt to nurture, and you solve problems on the spot, and everything is your control. These activities turn amateur radio from hobby into real experience. And I believe they have a very important effect. They make amateur radio much more attractive to people other side the hobby. Imagine someone in the park is soar around by nature, smiling and enjoy chaos with the radio. Anyone who sees that will be immediately wonder what is the person doing, who are they talking, and how is this possible. That credit is the best promotion ham radio can ever have. People are not only interested in technology, they are interested in story. And your project is like Yota and international event also shows something very clear. The new generation is already here, but they don't want to only talk. They want to create building teams and develop a project. Amateur radio offers the perfect space for that, because here you can learn, improve, and become part of the real community. And I truly believe the future of a ham radio will not be building only by technology. It will be built my community culture. Yes, today everyone has a phone in their pocket, but the ham radio is not just an alternative communication method. It also gives people important skills: technical thinking, problem solving, patience, discipline, and staying calm under pressure. That is why amateur radio is not a hobby of the past. It is a skill for the future. So, answer the question again. Is ham radio dying? No, ham radio is not dying. It is simply becoming something bigger by adapting to the change work. Remote system, digital mode, field activity, while project and your project. All this proof that amateur radio is still live. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. Thank you.
No, you're 100% right. You know, I honestly, I don't think that ham radio is dying at all. I think it's just.
I love ham radio.
I agree. And I think you're right. I think it is one of those things that it will be supported by the community. It is something that has a lot of room to build with the community.
Yeah.
Like so, for example, where I am, I don't know if you've ever played with this much, but the space station, they have ham radios on the space station, the International Space Station, and they do. Right now, they've had some issues with some of the radio that's up there, and unfortunately, they can't just fly the radio back down here to have it worked on very easily. But they've been doing some upgrades, some work on that where they had some problems with it. But when it's all functional, they have a repeater on the space station, and it's just a little 2-meter repeater. But since it's direct line of sight just up there, and you can bounce across that, I've been able to make contacts halfway across the United States on just a little 5-watt handheld radio using that 2-meter repeater on that. So back to your thing of community. With that, they would used to do on 2 meters, which, like I said, they're doing some work on it. They would also do SSTV transmissions.
Yeah, I am use it.
Yeah. So yeah, you're familiar with it. Yeah. So I would get those SSTV transmissions down, decode them with the app on my phone, and upload that to my Facebook. Well, a lot of people in my local community here were saying, that's cool, but that's a picture of something from the space station. What is that?
Very cool.
So then I start telling them, wait, no, this is a picture that literally came from space over a ham radio signal to my phone. And they're saying, it's a picture from space that came over a radio wave? And I said, yeah, technically it was just data transmission over a ham radio signal, but yeah. And I say, and this is not something you have to have a license for because you're not actually transmitting. So if you just buy a little cheap $20 radio from Amazon or get something from RETEVIS or whatever, and you tune to the right frequency, when they do these and it flies overhead, you can do this. So all of a sudden, all these kids are saying, that's really cool that you can get a picture from space. And I said, yeah. So, whenever they do one of those transmissions, I would put in our Facebook group for the city, hey, this is what's going on. And I said, so if you see some idiot out there with a little tape measure Yagi that he built for his radio, standing out in the field by the fire department looking at the sky, don't think that he's just some idiot out there with this weird tape measure thing looking like he's, doesn't know what he's doing. Stop, swing by, bring your kids over, and I'll show you how you can get a legitimate picture from space. So
Yeah.
a lot of people came by, looked at that, and they said, that's actually really cool. So I got a lot of kids interested in, how radios it's not just a walkie-talkie that you call your friends on and act stupid with. No, you actually get pictures.
Yeah.
So
It's very, very cool.
And yeah, that kind of built a little community there. So yeah, it's kind of neat to see how that stuff grows.
SSTV and maybe DRTV is satellite ham radio, SSB, FT8, CW is very, very cool and complicate ham radio. And I love in ham radio is 3 years in, I am interested is 3 years ham radio, and remote station is perfect, and DMR, Echolink, HF, and BHF is very, very difficult mode, and very, very difficult happy. Is very, very nice. Thank you so much.
Okay, I know the Scott have shown before the SSTV, the picture from the SSTV. Oh, JC Scott, I have a connection with the space station. Super cool, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, that then, like, even you get the APRS packets to come down, and you're watching, you're getting the APRS, and you get this person's call sign. Like, okay, that's cool. I got this person. Then you get the actual call sign from the astronauts, and you're like, I just literally got a packet come from the space station directly. So I had not a one-on-one, but close enough to an astronaut in space. Like, so you can show your buddies, hey, I actually had a contact with an astronaut. That's kind of cool to be able to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is super cool.
Yeah.
And Mars mentioned that with the technology, with the development of technology, everything changed.
Yeah.
And I think our radio have to change too. It's okay. I gonna have our engineer team and product team. They have to update their radio. They have to improve.
Yep, you have to stay current. Yep.
Okay, Mars. Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, bye. Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
And welcome.
That's our guest of the first group. They have finished their speech. So let's have a 5 minutes break. 5 minutes break. Okay, guys, I gonna add you all on stage. Gary, Mike, Scores, Aaron. Hey, it's a five minutes break.
Sounds good.
Okay, 5 minutes. Let me take. Okay, everyone, our audience, do you have some questions? You can chat. You can put in the comments and interact with our guest today. You can also, how about drink some water, take snacks.
I'm going to step away for just a second. I'm going to grab something real quick to show off.
I speak too much. Oh, sorry. Okay.
I'm waiting for the comments to show up in the chat.
Oh, Mike. Oh, Mike, maybe he's drinking. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Audience, do you have some questions? Or you want Wow, our audience. Oh, that's silence today. Maybe that just focus on our speech. Yeah, your speech is so great.
Like we mentioned about the repeaters, they need to break the ice and make some noise. Ask those questions.
Speaking of breaking the ice, make some noise. We have what we call mic fright. And we actually have a whole net every week at my club dedicated to mic fright. New hams getting a chance to join a no judgment zone type net.
I feel like we should have the show in this format and open it up just for debate so everybody can just talk back and forth.
Yeah, that's good performance.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, Debbie, can you do me a favor?
Sure.
I need to drink some water. So you handle the situation, you control a little bit right now, okay? I will be right back. It's 1 minute. Is that okay? David?
Yeah.
We're counting.
Sounds good.
Yeah, do you copy?
Solid copy.
Yeah. Give me 1 minute.
So in the chat, what's your favorite operating mode? I see somebody wants to drink water. That's not an operating mode.
It might be.
Well, I've got something. I don't know if you guys have ever done this before, but I was talking about the SSTV and stuff from the
Looks
space
like
station.
everybody's sitting indoors. Is it not nice out where you're at?
But if you guys haven't gotten one of these before and you work at the space station, they'll actually send you a QSL card.
Oh, wow.
With I put a little handwritten note on the back of it as to when you contacted them. I'm sure you can't see it with that camera, but they'll put as to the date, the time, and what mode you actually contacted them with. You have to send them a little envelope with your address and a stamp on it and everything, but they'll send that back to you.
That is very cool. I'm one of these mad people that recently built a tape measure Yagi, and
yep.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It's 7 elements on UHF and 3 on VHF, and we've had a couple of passes today, and I've been one of those people looking like an idiot in the back garden, holding this this huge contraption up, trying to point it in the right direction and speak to these amazing people. And it's just something really incredible. You see it on the tracker sort of coming up because I'm sort of central United Kingdom, so I'll see it coming up over the Atlantic, and then you start to hear a few Irish voices coming across, and then you start to hear a few English ones, and then it goes over and you start to hear the other voices on the continent, sort of Germany, France, that kind of thing. And it's absolutely fantastic working something with 5 watts in your back garden that's kind of 200 miles in the air. It's there's nothing else like it, I think, and that's something I'm really getting into recently.
Yeah,
along those lines,
ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, along those lines, working HF 20 watts to get Australia on the other side of the world, with 20 watts in a wire,
yeah,
it's impressive what you can do.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I must say, HF is something that I really, really want to get into. I've got a lot of, I've done a lot of shortwave listening and sort of SDRs and that kind of thing. Yeah, I really need to try and get a transceiver to get on there, because I love that whole QRP thing of sort of working the world on sort of 10, 15 watts or whatever. That would be absolutely fantastic. And there's just so much to listen to on there as well.
Now, Mark, we got a question in the chat that with you being over there in the UK, it could probably be a good one for you to answer here.
Okay.
Someone has asked if a ham radio operator has to register in each country or not. So, of course, most of us here in America, we've already answered that. Of course, with us, we do have to register, do the whole license exam and all that good stuff for each class that we go to. So tell us about what's like on your neck of the woods.
Well, I believe, it's changed a fair amount in recent years. I took my my exam in 1990, and originally it was a B class license, so I had a G7 call sign at the time, so which meant I couldn't work HF on that license. Then they got rid of the Morse code element, which I was quite relieved about, because Morse code isn't great. I can kind of get by, but it's not fantastic at all. So when they took that away, it was like a game changer for me. I suddenly became more interested and I got my G3 call sign, and yeah, that's part of the hobby that I really want to get into. Sort of HF and that kind of thing, because I just find it fascinating, just tuning around and seeing what you can find.
Yeah, I'm going to tie into that because register ham radio doesn't necessarily mean your license. There are countries out there where you have to register the hardware and tie it to your license.
That's true.
Okay,
that's true.
That's certainly not the case in this country. I know you can like you were saying earlier, you can have a radio and listen on it, providing you don't transmit. That's absolutely fine. But it doesn't sound quite as strict over here in terms of licensing individual radios. That's a bit scary.
Yeah, but thankfully here we don't have to license our actual radios, nothing like that. But if that's the case, God, I'd hate to have to pay for the licensing fees I have on every radio that I own.
Yeah,
good Lord. But
do you guys have to pay in the States for your license, because it's free over here now?
Yes. So what we'll have to do is, and it's not much, in the long scheme of things, it's not bad. But we have to pay a $35 licensing fee. But
okay.
That's for a 10-year length of license. So,
that's quite reasonable then.
Yeah, that's nothing. By the time you break it down, $3.50 a year. I mean,
yeah.
Just skip a cup of coffee, or dig around the change in your car for that much. But it's not bad.
Oh, fantastic!
There's one for you, Scott. I don't know if you can see that. There's the ISS, one of them of the 5 repeaters with the doublers all installed in there. So anyway, listen to him quite a bit.
So he's been doing a little bit there too. Yeah. It's always fun. Just turn it on. If nothing else, if you don't even try to work it yourself, just let it fly over and hear what you can hear. And if anybody out there in the chat or anybody in the group here hasn't done it, it's kind of fun, because if you haven't learned your grid squares, that kind of stuff, just in the interest of time, people are throwing out grid squares because they're working at a mile a minute. If you sit there and try to write down a call sign, you're already 5 call signs behind. So people are just throwing out Cafe EZY EM99, and all you're really wanting to pay attention to is that EM99. And you can look up your grid square. Oh, that guy's all the way over here in Denver, Colorado. And, so it's pretty cool to hear that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
She's cracking the whip. We
got back to our live stream now. So who is the next? Okay, David, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yep. David's up.
Okay.
So I'm going to agree with a lot of what's been said already about ham radio isn't dying. There's definitely a lot of transformation. And you can even see it over the last few years, just with all the different digital modes coming around. But at the same time, it may not be as healthy as it really seems with the number of licensees. There's a lot of people who got licensed during COVID, and a lot of those people don't talk. A lot of them don't get on the radio at all. But also, I'm part of a couple clubs. My primary local club is around 200 members. It's been holding steady. It's been growing strong, and we've been helping to get new clubs spun up around us. But there's also lots of clubs nearby that are merging or folding, and it kind of tells a little story that it's not necessarily as healthy as it should be. And to that extent, we've actually been working, with the ARRL in our area to start a program to help, encourage growth, encourage visibility of the hobby, encourage members to be active in the community. We have members who will do VE sessions and teach classes for licensing. We got members who are doing POTA and SOTA. We've got members who are part of our local community emergency response teams. We have a very active fox hunting group. We have people who tinker and fix radios. There's all sorts of aspects. And that's, I think, what's keeping our club, strong has been, it's not just, a couple guys who are in the basement on the radio. It's that we've got, people who are out there who are keeping it visible, who are keeping things interesting. And it's more than just talking, more than just CW. it's true community, and it's sharing that knowledge. That knowledge is huge to being a ham. Yes, you can get on radio without a mentor. You can go online, do your classes, and get your license, but it doesn't mean that you are doing all the knowledge transfer that you could and perhaps should to ensure that the next generation of hams, is out there. And we have, and actually, for the ARRL, I wrote up a program to help push hams to get involved with youth and scouting. Scouts are one of those groups that are have had a long history with radio, and we need hams that are going to keep that going. And to that extent, I'm also a radio merit badge counselor. I'm going to put that out there. Worked with a few dozen kids at this point on it, and between the scouts and between new hams, mic fright, just getting them to talk on the radio is really hard, because they'll pick up the HT or the speaker mic, and sometimes they'll just be like, and stop right there. And for some, that's going to be a make it or break it moment, because they're going to be like, why am I talking on this? I've got my cell phone. But for those people, sometimes during radio badge sessions or Jamboree on the air, just getting out my DMR handheld, and letting them listen to somebody on the other side of the planet gets them back into it, because they're like, you're talking to somebody in China, Japan, wherever. And suddenly it's, wait, you can do that? It starts bringing the interest back. But, there's also a lot of those newer hams and scouts that I've dealt with, showing them WinLink and the ability to, in an internet down situation, grid down situation, be able to go with a Go box and write emails, bounce them off of a ham hundreds or thousands of miles away, and be able to get out those messages to say, hey, I'm okay. That sort of stuff really is started to capture, a lot more interest, because there have been a lot of natural disasters in the last few years, and that starts to get that interest back. And when you show that, yes, you need a license, but once you have that license, you can do it. It gets that learning back to where that person may want to go get their ticket. But the thing is, you need a ham who's going to be out in the community to get that interest. Singing in your shack, talking to your friends on the radio, it's great for your sense of community, but it doesn't grow the hobby. It's when you have the hams who are willing to go out there and be visible, field day, radio badge sessions, being out supporting, local events, staffing a table at, local fairs, whatever it is, being visible and putting it out that ham radio still exists. Some people don't even realize it still is out there. They're thinking some guys with a tube radio in the basement, and that's way more to it than that now. And now with, the modes like we talked about before with EchoLink and DMR, to be able to take, the lowest tier of license and talk around the world, it's mind-boggling, that you can do that now. Yes, some people call it cheating ham radio because it is going across the internet or lots of other digital links. But you know what? It still is in the spirit of ham radio. It still is getting, you talking to somebody, still is getting that sense of community. And finding ways to keep it interesting, to keep members active in clubs and to keep members active in your area. In Connecticut, where I'm living, we have a pretty decent sized fox hunting group, and, people fox hunt every weekend, for much of the year. So that keeps people out and visible and interacting. We've got a lot of people trying to keep the hobby alive and well. But at the same time, there's also local clubs where nobody's active other than being in their shack and talking on the radio. And those clubs are dying. Those clubs are not gaining members. They're not bringing people into the hobby. So it's not necessarily dying but it's also not necessarily something that's going to keep going without the help of people trying to make it grow.
No, I agree 100% on all of that. And it's just one of those things that the way I look at it, it's people can say that it's dying as much as they want to, but when you're on the inside looking out, I don't think it's dying. I really don't. It's just something that I don't know if I want to call it a stereotype. It's just something that people have gotten put in their mind, and like you said, in your area, you've got a club. Your main club's, what do you say, 200 members?
About that, yes.
I don't know exactly how many members we have in this area, but as an example, back in late January, early February, we had a pretty nasty winter storm roll through here, and on our repeater system, we have an Aries net. The repeater system that we have covers not the entirety, but most of the state of West Virginia. There's a couple little pockets we're still working on, but pretty much if you pick up and key up, you can hit just about anywhere in the state of West Virginia. With that, we run Aries across the whole thing and Skywarn, just in case something like that were to happen. And the state of West Virginia knows that we do that. So they had asked us, hey, can you guys be at hand in case this winter storm gets a little worse than we're expecting? But can we have you guys on standby? Of course, we all said, whatever you need, let us know. We got the equipment, we got the towers, we'll do what we can to help you out. I don't remember the exact number of hams we had active during that, but over the course of 72 hours, we had obviously different net operators because nobody's going to do that for 72 hours straight and be sane afterwards. But we logged over 20,000 key ups over the course of 72 hours. Now, for a dying hobby, 20,000 key ups in 72 hours seems like a pretty significant number in my book.
Absolutely.
So
okay, I got a question.
Okay, what's your question?
Sorry. Yeah, so David mentioned that community, the club. I do agree. The community is really important. They have to help each other to help growing the club, the member. And so when the event ends, when you finish the event, do you have some party? Do you have a beer party or barbecue party?
We at times after events we'll have pizza, or every couple times a year we'll have a barbecue, or to bring the club members together. And times after an event like there's an event I'm supporting in June where our club helps run communications for a race, and we actually just had club members help out at a half marathon just last weekend. Was it last weekend? And generally after those types of events, we don't really have a party, but at the same time, people still socialize afterwards and socialize beforehand, and it just brings everyone together.
Okay, so we can make friends in the club, right?
Absolutely.
100%, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of, our club has nets almost every single day. And then on top of that, we have a very active Discord. We have other channels, not just, through radio. We also have a fairly active mesh network, so that's ham adjacent, doesn't require the ham license, but it's a lot of members of our club, have ham radio, GMRS, and mesh. So it's a multi-layered approach to communication.
Yeah, so radio can bring you guys from the radio to the reality world.
Yes.
You can make the real friends.
Yeah, so speaking of your party, back we had Winter Field Day. We decided that we were going to do that at a state park that one of our club members lives like 3 miles away from. So it turned into, okay, so it went from who's bringing what radio, what bands are we going to be broadcasting on, who's bringing what antenna, to who's bringing the grill, who's bringing the beer, who's bringing what food. We got a tent, and it turned into more of a camping adventure rather than just, what are we going to be broadcasting on and what kind of contests are we going to do. And it was more of a,
sure,
let's all go camping, let's hang out for a few days. And, the radio has kind of become almost not a fully secondary thing, but, we're all there obviously for the purpose of the radio. But at the same time, who's to say you can't hang out, you can't grill, you can't have a beer or two? It's just
Absolutely. And
Wow.
and
David,
bringing radios to events. I mean, as a scout leader, I've started bringing out a massive pack of FRS radios to scout events because, it's one of those things where even though it's not ham, I can hand out an FRS radio to every single person, coming until I run out of radios, which I have a lot of radios. And, it not only is it fun to get the kids interested in radio, it also gives us peace of mind. Just like,
right.
When you have a natural disaster, because you go camping and there's bad cell coverage. And this way I know I can get a hold of them and say, come back to the campsite.
Okay, just imagine that maybe I'm not that interesting in the radio knowledge, but when I join the club, I definitely enjoy the after party.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
We have people who every weekend we open up the clubhouse, and we'll have people who just show up to just socialize, not even get on the air.
Yeah.
They're just going to hang out with their friends.
Yeah. Okay. David, and you mentioned that fox hunting.
Yes.
Just now. So maybe some of our audience don't know that. Could you introduce more?
Fox hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Fox hunting is a term for amateur radio direction finding. Basically, it is finding a hidden transmitter. Earlier, you heard talk of using a Yagi antenna to listen to the space station. We use Yagi antennas as well because they're directional to find hidden transmitters. And typically, we'll have somebody place a transmitter, a beacon style transmitter somewhere, or act as a live fox and just periodically talk on their HT. And what the goal is that you have somebody with that Yagi directional antenna going and triangulating that person or that transmitter. And we have two different formats that we tend to do in Connecticut, and one is a short format 90-minute hunt. You're told here's the town it's going to be in, find the person. And then the other one is we'll have somebody put out a beacon fox, and you're told you have a week, try and find it, and it's going to be in this corner of the state. So very different formats. One is when you find the fox, everyone kind of gathers and socializes afterwards. That's probably one of the more popular versions because you do have that social aspect again. But in both cases, it's a lot of fun because it's basically, using technology for hide and go seek. Lots of fun. You don't need a license to do it. You only need a license to be the person transmitting if you're transmitting on ham frequencies. But the bonuses for trying to get, the youth or people who aren't into ham yet as part of it is you can use an FRS radio as the transmitter or GMRS radio. You don't need a ham license yet to be the person acting as the fox. Yeah.
Okay. So Scott, do you have anything?
No, he pretty well clearly covered what fox hunting is. It's a very simple thing, and it's another way to get people that are maybe don't know fully what it is. It's just another tool and tool bag for hams that it's similar to geocaching in a way. If anybody's ever done geocaching, and just you can set up a little, and it doesn't have to be anything big, just a little tiny. I know there's really small radios you can get your hands on these days, so really easy to hide. And like
about the size of a film canister.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can set that up and put it in a tree somewhere. Just a real small.
I've actually hidden one in a treehouse before.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a treehouse, say a birdhouse. And I've actually gone fox hunting with my whole family in the truck. My wife will run. I've got a little mini log periodic antenna. She'll run that while I'm driving to help steer us a little bit better. I'll take the Yagi out for a better directional from in a parking lot. Sometimes my son will help out with it, and my daughter's a little too young to do it, but she enjoys being along for the ride and hanging out at the end.
So it's a real easy way to get people to realize, number one, that there's radio frequencies all around us we don't even see, you don't even know is out there. but just to kind of show them the easy ways to find that and how that all works, and that you don't need anything. Just for the basic, like you said, an FRS version of it, you don't need much at all to get into that. And
I've
honestly,
literally done FRS with Girl Scouts before, where I've sent out a pair of scouts with one radio and to act as the fox and call out on the radio. We have a second FRS that the other scouts who are trying to find them use to say, hey, can you say something so I can find you? And then we just have another radio attached to the directional antenna.
Yeah, and
real simple.
And a directional antenna you can build for pretty cheap if you know what you're doing. So I mean, it's a pretty low in cost thing to get started, just as a demonstration for people. And then of course, sky's the limit as far how in depth of this you want to get into. So
as far as the cost goes, I'm going to share what I've done for scouts, since I've actually built a couple of radio kits for the local scout councils, and that is, it's about you can do a Fox beacon for about $25 if you're licensed, because you can use firmware mods on certain radios, including the RA79, by the way, from RETEVIS. So that can be your Fox if you have a license for $25. Not the $100 Bionics or more expensive versions. You can use another $25 radio to hunt it. So that's $50 roughly.
Well, I got a question.
Sure.
She's thinking.
And by the way, the antenna, the tape measure Yagi, you can do for about $20 or less.
Yeah. Yeah, hit Harbor Freight on a sale day. You can do it about half of that.
Exactly. So for less than $100, you can get a setup going. Yeah.
Go ahead, Julia. The floor is yours.
Oh. How about me now? How about my video? Because I feel like I'm a little bit lagging now. Am I okay?
Yep, you're fine.
Yeah, on our end, you're good.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Oh, yeah, here's a question. Does fox hunting is kind of like a way?
Uh-oh, I think you paused.
There's the lag.
Yep. Hold on. Am I back?
Yes. Maybe.
Still might have a little bit of lag there still.
Yep.
Okay, am I back now?
Yeah.
Now you're good.
Am I back now?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad I'm back. Okay. So do I need to repeat my question?
Please.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, my question is, the fox hunting, does it kind of like a way like the emergency rescue? The fox hunting.
Yes, it's actually a great way to practice search and rescue, and because the thing is, first and foremost, if you're familiar with avalanche beacons, which are used in snowy areas.
Hey, scores.
No.
Yes. Go ahead.
So, if you're familiar with the term avalanche beacon, they're used in snowy areas for people in the back country, skiing, snowboarding. Fox hunting works pretty much the same way, where, just like an avalanche beacon, it sends out a regular pulse, and then the person hunting it has a directional antenna. So it's very much the same sort of idea. It's also something that if you are a lost hiker in the backwoods and you have a radio, you can be found, and there are stories that pop up on, for example, the AIlunce's website every so often where somebody was lost, in the backcountry and they needed help and they got found because of direction finding. But also goes to law enforcement. Recently, there's a case in the U.S. where somebody set their HT up incorrectly and were interfering with local emergency frequencies. And the FCC located them through direction finding.
Yep. Yeah, and the same thing can be done. Like that's one of the reasons I got into ham was where I go hunting. There is no cell phone service whatsoever, so I found that there's a ham repeater down that way, so I could actually call out. But at the same time, my family, some of them don't go down anywhere near where I'm at all. But I can put an APRS beacon on my radio and beacon out to with the GPS on the HA2 or other similar radios, and can actually beacon out almost a live exact location where I am on GPS, so that if something happened and I didn't show up back home when I was supposed to or something, they would have on the APRS.FI website a pretty accurate location as to where I last beaconed from. So at least have a pretty good idea, where I was, what was going on. And then, so it's similar to fox hunting. At least they would know an approximation of where I was and go from there. So,
yeah,
just little simple tricks like that. But I think Julia, she's been having some lag issues, and I think she's about ready to move on to the next guest here. So as long as she's able to click and move us on to the next person anyway. I hear some typing, so she must be able to do a little something over there. At least her audio is good.
Yep.
But David, we appreciate you. We'll have you back up here in a few moments once we head on out. We got a few more to get through here. So Julia, if you can hear me, let's go ahead and she's move on to the next one. And next up, we're going to have, it looks like Aaron. Aaron should be good to go. As long as she's not lagging too much here anyway. Let's see here. Oh,
Nope.
looks like we got him.
Here.
There he is. My buddy Aaron, here we go.
How's it going, everybody? I'm Aaron, KK7WRA, out here in sunny Phoenix. Love this topic. There's a whole lot to go on, and we could be here all day. So I'm just going to kind of stick to the briefs of it. Do I think it's dying? No. Do I think it's stagnant? Yes. I mean,
Hey,
people
Aaron.
are still... Oh, I hear you now.
She speaks.
Oh.
And she freezes.
All right. But yeah,
Where's Aaron?
I'm here. Oh,
Aaron?
I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, I've got you just fine. I don't know about her.
Okay, welcome back.
Welcome. Can everybody hear me? I lost part of the audio. I can hear you.
I can hear you just fine. You ever feel like you're in a seance and it's just, can you hear me now and all that good stuff? Well, I guess it's all my show. So welcome to the Scott Show. I've been working to get my own live stream here. And I don't know what I've done to be blessed with this honor, but here we are. And Aaron's back. Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I can hear you well. Yeah, for a minute there, I could hear Julia and not you. Then I could hear you and not her. I wasn't sure who could hear me. But yeah, so back to the topic at hand. I would have to say it's stagnant. There's a lot of development going on out there, and there's a lot of things you can do with it. I'm not going to deny that. And where to enter is just ridiculous. But out here, I do a lot of just 2 meter, 77 meter, stuff like that. And it's pretty quiet out where I'm at out in the Phoenix area. I think part of it is we just have an abundance of repeaters. And when I say an abundance, I can pick up my HT and I could probably hit 12 or 14 different repeaters. So people are scattered everywhere if they're on there. But I've done a lot of cross-country trips where I've called out on the national calls for 2 and 70, and I've never to this day heard anybody come back to me. So it's kind of disappointing in that, and that's kind of why I feel like it's stagnant. And I think you're going to get issues with a lot of the new generations getting into it, because I recently took my test a year ago, maybe give or take a couple months, whatever. but I feel like the test is very outdated, and there's a lot of information, at least for your tech license. There's just a lot of stuff in there that you don't need to know, and chances are you're not going to know unless you're reading this and studying and memorizing answers. I can understand needing it when you get into like HF, dealing with satellites and
Right.
bouncing the signal, things like that. You're going to need to take math into account and stuff like that. Um, but I feel like for entry level, they make it a little too difficult. And I haven't had a lot of play with DMR, but I heard it could be kind of a bear to get into. And then having to have um, like a mobile Wi-Fi spot and stuff like that, it makes it kind of expensive to get into. So I tend to steer away from things like that. And there's a lot of activity. Like there's still some nets that run around out here. But you do notice it is definitely a lot more of an older crowd. I don't hear, I mean, I'm not old, I'm not young, I'm 42, and I'm probably one of the youngest people I hear on the radio out here. So it's kind of disappointing. And to strike up conversation, it's pretty much unless you know somebody, not a lot of people are wanting to strike up conversations out here. It's a lot of, hey, where you at? I'm from here. Okay, good signal. And that's pretty much the end of it. Um, a lot of preppers use it out here. I'll give it that. It has lots of use in prepper situations, which is odd because we don't get natural disasters out here. But everybody out here is definitely about it. So there's a lot of use in that aspect. Um, for prep, I have my GMRS and I have a portable repeater that I take with us, like when we go out camping, things like that. Because again, the features are nice because, yeah, I can let my whole family use it off of just my license, things like that. I feel like Ham kind of needs to update that as well. Like, you want to get your beginner's license, that's fine. There's not a whole lot you should really need to know to get your beginner's license. I mean, it's just entry level. You're talking just local for the most part. Um, throw in some questions about how to work repeaters, how do they work, things like that, and make it so like your basic general license is just the whole family can use it. I feel like if you could start there and then have, the main member of the family, like me, now go get my level 2 and learn HF and get my son into knowing what HF is and being able to talk cross country or across the globe and things like that will get a lot more people involved in it. And I think right now that's just not happening. And until there's some type of change made, I don't really see it progressing. I think it's going to be more of a hobbyist. You are getting your ham license because you know about ham radio and you want to get into it for specific reasons. You're not getting into it for building a community, things like that. Like a lot of the ham clubs out here, it's pretty much all ham related. That is it. They don't do many things outside of it. There's not a whole lot of community building in it. It's we're with the ham crew and that's about it. And you do get your races out here and stuff like that where they go and help out, the people running around, things like that, which is great. And I love being a part of that stuff too. But again, my kids, they would love to get involved in doing stuff like that too. But my 8-year-old isn't just going to know majority of the stuff on that.
Right.
And unfortunately, again, with the earlier comments of YouTube, Netflix, cable, they have so many screens in their faces and stuff now that it's even hard to get the new generation involved in it. Like they're just kind of disinterested. And we as a community need to figure out how to evolve to adapt to their wants and needs, unfortunately, to get more involvement. Or I think eventually it probably will die out. So that's about my aspects on it. I'll send it back to you guys.
Now, I have to agree with you on some of what you said there because one of my best friends, talked him into getting on GMRS because he goes kayaking with me a lot, and it's nice to have some radios in the water just in case something happens, whatever. And I told him he lives give or take 10 miles from me, but there's several West Virginia hills between us, so GMRS is not going to work too well from his house to mine.
Yeah.
Now, we're working on putting a pretty decent GMRS repeater between the two of us, so if we get that up high enough, that would probably be okay, but for now, there is no GMRS communication from the house to house. There is a very nice on that repeater network I've mentioned several times. There's a good 2-meter repeater that works from. I've gone to his house. I've hit that repeater from there. Perfect signal. My house, perfect signal. So if he was had a ham license, we could talk all day long, no problems. So I've told him several times. So if you want to chat with me over radio, you got to get a ham license. Other than that, until we get this GMRS repeater put up, we're dead in the water. So I've told him, he goes, what do you got to do to get a ham license? What do you got to do? What do you got to do? So I've walked him through the basics. I've told him the easiest way, honestly, is to either use one of the apps on his phone, or there's a guy, you may have seen him in several Facebook groups, that he gives a free class. And so take his class, he'll take a couple days, and he'll teach you most of what you need to know, and then a little bit of studying on your end, and you can actually take your technician test, and you'll have a pretty good shot at passing it. And his response to that is, I don't want to study and learn a whole bunch of stuff that I'll never need to know again once I get my license. And, that makes perfect sense. I understand where he's coming from, because once he gets on 2 meters, he will never take another step further into ham. That's all that he would ever use. So his
I would
aspect
love to get HF. I would love to get involved in like HF and stuff like that. But again, I've been studying for it, and granted, you're going to need some more information to operate HF and things like that. But the intricacy of the testing, I think, is just too much.
Yeah, I agree. And, I'm with you. I think some of that stuff is some outdated information. That
okay, am I back right now?
Yes.
Yeah, right now you're golden. Don't breathe too hard or anything. You might throw it off, but right now you're good. That pen's moving awful slow.
Thanks.
There goes. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But anyway.
Sorry, I'm so laggy. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're back to us again. Yeah, right.
Okay, please go ahead.
But that's basically, I agree with everything you said there on that. Just, I think that, whether or not they'd want to open it up to have your general license cover other people in your family or not, that's their decision. But as far as the testing goes, I think that they could definitely use some reevaluation as to what they're actually going for, because a lot of people do stop at their first level. And
and for your whole family, I mean basically immediate household. Me, my wife, my kids. That's it. Not the whole GMRS where
don't go as far as the GMRS.
Uncles, everybody and their moms involved. No, just your immediate household. Just to try and generate interest. And ham radio, it is people on there are very polite. They're very correct. So it's not like it's a bad environment for kids to go to, because I'd liked GMRS, but unfortunately GMRS around here is kind of like the CB radio, where it's just trash talk and so much docking and just foul language and things like that I just shut it off and don't even know why me and my buddy switched over to ham, was to kind of just have the privacy of it. But and unfortunately it's like, I'm sitting there with my kids talking and they can't say anything because, you don't have your license, kids. Sorry. And unfortunately, it is a little bit on me to kind of push them to try and study to get it. But again, I'm dealing with an 8-year-old that just wants to pick up a radio right now and talk. He doesn't want to learn about it.
Exactly.
Okay, I got a question.
Yes.
Okay.
Aaron mentioned that the new generation. Yeah. But how can we have our new generation into radio? Do you have some ideas?
I wish I did. I will say fox hunting. Brilliant idea. Love it. I've been wanting to do that for a while with my kids. And especially because we do a lot of camping and stuff like that. So I use APRS a lot. so my wife knows where I'm at, things like that. So I try to get them involved in like the cool little features, like, oh, you can see where this person's at while you're talking to them, and the International Space Station. I love it, but it's so quick. It's kind of
Yeah,
disappointing. You get very, very limited time, and if you miss that window, you're
it's
kind of stuck. But and the what SSTV, things like that, those are pretty awesome. But again, it for a kid to get involved in, like, he likes the idea of it, and to learn how to do it right now, it's a little like, I wish there was like a Bill Nye the Science Guy for like radio, you know.
well, to kind of counter that a little bit, back when the Artemis 2 mission was going on, back while they were
Yes,
still up, before they actually had their splashdown and all that, one of the guys in our radio club, I don't know exactly what he was doing, how he had this going on, but he was streaming the live stream that NASA had going on when they were chatting back and forth with the astronauts and having them do this, that, and the other up in space. He was live streaming that over his Echo link over our repeater system.
nice.
So even though they weren't using HF or anything to talk back, they were using some kind of laser protocol to get their communications up that way. But they were still broadcasting it technically over our repeater system. And I didn't realize he
That's
was going to do that. We didn't get any information, just he started doing it. So I was driving out to pick up food or something, and I turned the radio on my Jeep, and across our repeater system, I heard NASA calling out to the astronauts, and I said, "Hold up! I feel like I'm in 1969 all of a sudden, and this is the first moon mission, and I'm picking up my radio. This is cool." So I called or texted one of my friends here in my town that she had just recently got her GMRS license, and I told her, I said, "Hey, tune your radio to this 2-meter frequency, and that's one of the uh, ham repeaters here in town, and they're broadcasting the NASA mission." And I said, "Let your kids listen to that." So a few minutes later, she goes, "Oh my God, my kids are glued to that radio now. They can't believe that mom has a radio that's listening to the at NASA talk to the astronauts."
right,
And I said, "Well, congratulations. Tomorrow you're going to be the coolest mom at school. Everybody
right,
else can watch it on TV, but you had it coming over a radio. That makes it kind of more personal in a way."
right.
So I think just little things like that, just getting kids interested with stuff like that, it's going to just,
That and I wish I wish the government would get a little more involved. As much as you never want to hear somebody say that, you want the government to stay out as much as possible, but not even involved as in like regulating and things like that. Just putting up more repeaters for the public. Um, so like out here, I live in Arizona and I drive back to Michigan a lot. And I have my family out here that would love to talk to my family in Michigan over the radio, but that's not happening because in Arizona, we work on a whole lot of linked repeater systems. I can get all the way up the whole West Coast and everything, but it's like as soon as you get to New Mexico, it's just dead. And like
yep,
if there was just somewhere to somehow to link and be able, because I know for a long time GMRS was doing that and they got really upset about that,
yep.
but it was brilliant and it worked phenomenally, and I wish there was a way to kind of set up an interstate repeater system kind of thing.
Yeah, that'd be nice, because
But
I,
you're
I've
talking lots of money in infrastructure.
oh yeah, just the towers alone, because
Yeah,
I guess they could put it on the same towers they already have, at least I
right.
don't know about out in your area, but in West Virginia, every mountaintop you look at's got a tower just because we
Yep,
have to with the mountains.
yep.
But yeah, and that's something I've looked into. I've tried to. I've got a heck of a tower right here by my house. It's a privately owned corporation that just has broadcast towers for rent. It's a 300-foot tall tower.
What are their prices, do you know?
Yeah, I asked because I was like, "Can I put my RT97L on this tower?" And that'd be fantastic, right?
Right.
They're like, "Yeah, it's $500 a month," and I was like, "Oh,
That's
okay."
I mean, for a club or something, that's not a bad price.
No, I
But
was
for
like, "Well."
personal use, yeah, that's a little steep.
I was like, for me, I'm not going to do that, but I want to talk to my club members, and maybe we could swing that. So that's the tower we're considering using. And if that's the case, I've run some propagation estimates, and putting an RT97L on that, we would get a heck of a nice boost in GMRS coverage here.
And as much as I don't know how much work you want to do or money you want to spend, but I've been doing a lot of researches on Facebook Marketplace for towers, and you can find people that are giving away 100, 200-foot towers for free.
Oh yeah,
Like, just come
just to
pick
get
it
them off
up.
the
Like,
property.
deal. Like, man, I would love to do that. Unfortunately, I don't have the property to put that on, unfortunately, because with the codes around here, if your antenna falls, it's supposed to fall within your property line and things like that. So that would put me a little bit out of regulation, but I know so many people out here that would just love to have something like that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And just little things like that. And I think that is a good step that we could take, is if we could just make it more accessible, and
Yes.
then just have little community days. That's all it
Yep.
is. Like here in my town, I'm trying to build a little. I've somehow found myself as the emergency management council director here in my little town. So I'm getting volunteers in just to make it easy for people. I've got I put my RT97L on my little homemade tower on the side of my house, so it's only like a 25-foot tall tower, and it does pretty good. It keeps my whole town covered off of that. And I'm telling people, hey, if you get a GMRS license, you can use my repeater here. Covers the whole town. And we have communications at the whole town just off that little repeater that I have, and I've got a battery backup for it, so we're golden on that. And then me as the only ham that's actually in my little town here, I can reach out to anybody else the next town over and then hit those repeaters. So we've got outreach if something happens.
Right.
And doing some demonstrations of that, I've got several people that have decided, hey, GMRS isn't such a bad thing.
Right.
So I think little just demonstrations like that, and then tell them like, hey, you can listen to astronauts when they're on the on their little moon journeys, or talk to them across the space station, or listen in on that. Get the SSTV signals is getting the kids interested. So just little community outreaches.
I still think somebody needs to run away with the Bill Nye the Science Guy for radio for kids. I think that would take off.
Yeah, start a YouTube channel.
Right.
There you go, Julia. That's your next thing. You got to start a YouTube channel for Bill Nye the Science Guy for radio.
I'm patenting that right now on air.
Do it. You got the glasses right now. You're good to go. We need to.
Right.
We can all pitch in and get you a science coat.
Wow.
Oh.
All right. Well, I guess she's.
Well, maybe the radio is more for. Am I back right now?
Yeah, you're back.
You're back, and
okay,
you're
glad,
looking good.
glad.
You don't have any
Sorry,
lag or
I'm so
anything.
laggy. Thank you for your guys.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Aaron.
Glad to share.
Okay, now Mark.
Hey, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Julia.
Mark.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to start off by. Can you hear me, Julia? I think you've gone a bit laggy again.
Yes, I don't know. She's awful still. She's just chomping at the bit to hear what you have to say.
Well, I guess I'll kick off, and hopefully Julia will be able to hear it. But I just want to start off by thanking Julia and everyone at RETEVIS and AIlunce for giving us the opportunity to talk about this wonderful hobby of ours with this fantastic panel we've got as well. My interest in radio began when I was about 8 years old, when my parents bought me a shortwave receiver. And I clearly remember sitting there late at night, tuning across the bands, hearing voices from all over the world. And it kind of felt like magic, this invisible web connecting people across continents. It was just an amazing experience. And that curiosity was fueled even further by my grandfather, who was an avionics engineer in the RAF during the Second World War. He worked on some huge sort of airplanes like the Sunderland Flying Boat, and used to work with the radios on board. And he gave me that early fascination with electronics, how things worked, how signals moved, how you can build and fix things yourself. Then sort of late 70s, early 80s, then came sort of movies like Convoy, Smokey and the Bandit. A lot of people of my generation desperately wanted a CB radio, especially over here, seeing how amazing it looked in America. So I started devouring all of the CB and amateur radio magazines, looking at the equipment in absolute awe, not being able to afford it, being really young. But eventually I got on the CB, which was great fun, very busy back in the 80s, sort of late 80s. Got to 1990 and I passed my radio amateur exam. And what I remember most vividly is the bands were just completely alive. VHF and UHF repeaters just buzzing constantly. You could put a call out and get multiple replies, and there's a real sense of community to it all then as well. But in as far as where we are now, you kind of fast forward to today, and in many places things feel a bit quieter. I don't think that's because the hobby's dying. Far from it. I think we're living in one of the most exciting technological eras amateur radio has ever seen. You know, by the way, the way people communicate has completely changed. Social media offers instant global connection. Smartphones have replaced many utility uses of radio, and new entrants often don't immediately see what makes amateur radio special. You know, with the internet, you know, it's just so easy talking to someone anywhere. So the challenge isn't that radio's lost its value. I think we need to kind of reframe and rediscover it in some way. And I think we've kind of got a golden opportunity now. We're in an incredible digital age at the moment. You know, technology is advancing phenomenally at the moment. We've got all of these digital modes we can choose from. SDR, software defined radio, gives someone a very cheap receiver that they can plug into their laptop and receive all sorts of interesting stuff. We've got satellites in orbit, ISS as well, as we were mentioning earlier. And we can integrate these things with the computers and networks as well, which is fantastic. You know, I've got a little DMR hotspot that I really enjoy using and flicking around on all the talk groups. And crucially, I think nowadays we've got really high quality, affordable equipment. Companies like RETEVIS have genuinely shaken things up. Radios that would have been out of reach for many people 20 years ago are now really accessible. So the barrier is kind of lower than ever. But in terms of how we kickstart the hobby again, I think I've got a few practical ideas. I think we need to make it visible again. We need to get out from behind the shack, you know, lots of public demonstrations, field days in busy locations, schools, youth clubs, community events, that kind of thing. So we can really let people see and hear radio in action. And also kind of telling better stories. You know, what hooked us most wasn't specs. It was the magic of the whole thing, you know, talking to the ISS, bouncing signals off the moon, which is something I really want to get into, but is ridiculously expensive, but I'm hoping one day. But the very thought of transmitting, like pointing an aerial at the moon and transmitting and hearing your voice coming back, bouncing off the surface, you know, I think can really kind of fire the imagination of so many people, you know. And we need to make it, you know, just explain to people how many different facets of the hobby there are. And, you know, because getting started can feel really intimidating. I think we need simpler licensing pathways, as some people were suggesting. Clear sort of first contact guides, you know, explaining how to make that first contact, how to get the, you know, the just the wherewithal to do it, you know, because it is very intimidating at first. I think sort of mentors can come in very handy there, sort of clubs, that kind of thing. Because as you all know, that first QSO is everything, you know. So if that experience is good, people are going to stay with the hobby. We need to embrace the current technology that we've got, digital voice data, linking repeaters globally, using apps alongside radio. Obviously that's something that is really good with the HA2. You know, the way you can hook it up to your phone alongside an app is just a fantastically handy way to program it. You know, a lot of those earlier radios, you know, the really expensive ones back in the day were really hard to program. You know, you kind of had to have a science degree just to put a few channels in, you know. And I think, you know, we need to make sure that radio sitting on a shelf doesn't build the hobby. You know, we all need to get involved more with regular nets, challenges, events, awards and achievements. activity creates momentum, and momentum attracts people. So for my final thought, I think amateur radio has always been about one thing. It was that kind of sense I had as an 8-year-old, hearing something distant and mysterious. And that still exists. You know, we need to help others experience it for the first time, because once they do, they're really hooked. Thank you very much.
No, I'm with you 100%. You said a couple of things on that I really, really agree with. Like, ever since I've gotten it, pretty much everywhere I go, I take my HA2 with me.
Yep,
and that starts a lot of conversations. Like I had a breakfast with some business partners the other day, and I had it with me. Now I had it turned off because I was in company where we had a lot of stuff going on, so I didn't have it on, but I had it with me. One of the guys asked me why I always have that with me. I said, number one, it's a good call out. I can reach, I'll cross the whole state with this thing. I can turn the APRS on, so any of my family members that have access to the APRS.fi website will know exactly where I am. And it's as much of a sense of security as my cell phone is for the fact I can reach out to people. So then he was asking, so, well, you said you could reach the whole state. How's that work? So I talked to him about the repeaters and stuff. And it just so happened that it was an early morning breakfast kind of thing, so the moon was still in the sky. And as we're talking, he looked up, and it was a full moon kind of thing, and he mentioned how big the moon is. And I said, now, let me blow your mind for a second. And I said, you see the moon up there? I said, why can you see the moon? What is it about the moon that makes you be able to see it ever? And he said, well, it's because the sunlight reflects off of it. And I said, yeah. And what if I told you that if I had the right equipment, the right antenna, I could bounce radio signals off of that moon because it's a reflective surface.
Wow.
And he just sat there and just stared at the moon for a minute. And he looked at this little radio and he goes, you're telling me that you could have a radio and you could bounce a signal off of that moon? I said, yeah. I said, I personally couldn't because I don't have what I would need to. I said, but if I had the specific equipment for that, that's something hams do all the time. I said it's not a common thing, but yes, several people do that, and it's a feasible thing. So that got his mind turning, and next thing I know, he's messaging me and saying, hey, I've got like 4 or 5 trucks that I use for my business. What type of radios would I need to have them all in communication with each other? So that got his mind moving. Hey, if they can reach the moon, I can certainly reach across town and reach my employees in my trucks. I said, well, but schedule some time. You can sit down with me. We'll talk it out, and we'll see what's going to be best for your vehicles and your personal business use. So it's one of those things that even just carrying an HT with you when you go out in public, that can spark some interest, and especially when you just take 5 minutes to chat with somebody. So just little bits.
Absolutely. I mean, I must say, I carry my radio around everywhere, and it drives my wife absolutely nuts because we're out walking the dogs, and I'm getting the radio out, and she's like, oh, but I'm doing my best. I'm trying to get her into it, but it's going to be a journey, I think. But you're absolutely right. We just need to just get as many people involved as possible, because it's such a cool hobby.
Yeah, and then you were talking about how they've made the barrier of entry, if you want to call it that, so much more affordable. So my first interaction with RETEVIS and AIlunce and all of them was I bought an HA1G for the GMRS radios. And that was after I jumped into one of the live streams. I don't remember if Julia was doing that one or not, but one of them was. And the radio looked nice. It looked rather rugged. And it fit everything that I wanted in a GMRS radio. Now, I'd had a couple other ones from other brands that we won't name here, but I had them, and they worked okay, but one of them had an issue, and trying to get the warranty coverage on that was like pulling teeth. So that's why I started looking for other brands. I bought the HA1G, and I on that little lanyard loop on the back of it, I actually put a keychain, retractable keychain thing on it, and have it where I can hook it to my kayak when I go kayaking. Last year, one of my friends actually capsized her kayak, and by the time we were able to get her kayak righted, and it wasn't a kayak that she could climb into easily, so we had to actually tow her and the kayak to the shore, get her out of the water, get the water out of her kayak, and then get my radio, which was tethered to it, out of the river. It was under the water for about 20 minutes.
Wow.
And she was upset. She's, oh my God, I've ruined your radio. I'm so sorry. And I said, okay, well, number one, if you ruined it, it's like a $50 radio, so I'm not terribly concerned about it. But number two, check this out. And I pulled it out of the water and shook it off real quick, pressed the button. So, hey, look, it's working just fine.
Wow.
So it's a $50 radio, but these things are built absolutely rugged, and that's the reason I bought them. It's one of the reasons I went with this company. And I said, if not, they have a good warranty on them. I can talk to them. I'm sure we can get it sorted out. But it's worked fine ever since. So no harm, no foul.
I must say the build quality, the build quality of RETEVIS is absolutely fantastic. Some of the handheld radios I had back in the day, you'd kind of squeeze them and they'd creak, but because of the plastic. But the current radios are fantastic. I mean, like you can say that this thing you could literally put underwater for however long, and if you drop it, there's a pretty good chance it won't break. It's just so solid, and
you have to drop it just right to break it.
Yeah,
throw it off a building maybe or something.
But, yeah, definitely amazing.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about that radio is it's built so tough that even though it's got a great warranty, you'll never have to use it.
Yeah.
No. All right. Well, Julia has brought everybody.
Okay, it's a free discussion part. Everyone can join.
All right, and at the same time, anybody that's in the comments that's still hanging around, listen to a bunch of old hams here, having a little chat here. Ask questions. We'll be keeping an eye on the comments now. Feel free to throw anything out there. We'll do the best that we can to try to get to you. But throw out here, see what you got going on, and we'll try to address you the best we can. So, anybody have any questions? Anybody have any comments about what all's been said tonight? Anybody that hasn't been addressed?
Anyone, guys, you want to know about the radio, whether the product?
I have a question, and I don't know how true this is, but
I think so.
I've heard somewhere that you can actually use amateur radios to control like RC planes and stuff. Does anybody know if that's true? And if so, how does that work? I want to know.
Yeah, I would assume that there was probably, if you could figure out, there's probably a way to do it. Because I know that using certain frequencies and stuff has messed with certain things in my house. So if that's the case, then I can only assume that depending on what frequency they have the controller on an RC plane or an RC car, if you can figure out what that frequency is, and your radio could transmit on that frequency or close enough to it, you probably could. I just don't know exactly what frequency you'd have to find that to, or what.
I'm sure you'd have to look at the radio or look at the control, the receiver, and find out what frequency it is and stuff like that.
And I don't know. You have to then figure out what. You'd have to figure out a way to make what button do what. I don't know exactly how you would control it at that point, but as far as the frequency goes, I'm sure you could figure out a way to handle, or at least get across to that.
And we were talking about how to make it so we could make it a little bit more interesting for the next generation to kind of get into radio. And somebody brought up a topic that I completely forgot about: SDR radios. With the visuals and the stuff you can do with them, it's just like a rabbit hole for kids. Like I use my SDR for tracking airplanes and stuff like that. Like I can find out if that's a police helicopter flying over my house, or if that's a medevac helicopter, or if that's one of the planes from the flight school going by, or if that's the president's airplane. And then being able to see the waterfall. I think getting more radios with waterfall, and just to make it more visually pleasing to kids, is just like, it would make it a lot nicer. Like just, look at the cool colors and the stuff moving. Let's tune over to that and see what's going on.
Now we've got a fella here in the comments talking about, I'm assuming, the cars or planes, that kind of stuff. And he says everything is on 2.4 gigs now. So I'm assuming he's talking about the actual controllers and stuff for your remote controls.
Yeah, so that's going to be SDR right there. I don't know of any actual radio equipment that goes up to 2.4 gigs off the top of my head, except for an SDR. So,
but yes, going back to the SDR thing, sometimes when I'm trying to listen into the ISS and get like SSTV or anything of that nature, When I miss a pass over my house or I'm going to have a good pass, I'll use an SDR to try to find a place somewhere in the world that has an antenna set up at that same frequency that I can pick that up. And I might have heard Mark at some point. You never know. But sometimes I'll click on some stuff over there in that neck of the woods, and I'll start listening just to see what I can hear. Just playing around over on that side of the world. And then I get a couple buddies like, hey, check it. You can listen to radios online here, and you can click wherever you want. You click this little drop down. There's the bands that are over there, and you click on this one. Here's that radio's located, and you can hear these people talking there. Like you click here and listen, that guy's speaking over here in Ireland, and you click way down over here. And now you've got someone over here in Romania. So I think getting stuff like that kind of gets people interested in stuff too, that you can just show them what the internet just, completely free. Type a couple things in Google, and here you go. Here's radios all across the world. And I think that gets people interested in some stuff too. And that guy just replied and said, yeah, he is talking about the signal hops on 2.4 gigs for those controllers and stuff. So
that's pretty sweet.
I'll tell you what one of the things I really love about the hobby is kind of discovering new aspects to it and that. And I must say, you'll be very proud of me, Julia, because I set up APRS for the very first time today and managed to receive packets and sort of communicate with other APRS stations. So it's fascinating seeing the stuff coming in there and sort of coming and going. I just absolutely love it. I've got a lot to learn, but I'm really enjoying it so far.
I'll have to add to that the HA2 definitely makes APRS a lot more user friendly. I had dabbled with APRS several years back. It was cool. I enjoyed it, but the HA2 takes it to a whole different level of user interface and ease of operation.
Yep.
So again, we've all touched in some degree on, we're in the golden age of technology here. When you look at the price point, and I know we did this as a community discussion, but I will shamelessly plug the HA2. It is a great radio for the money.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that. It just makes it so much easier and user friendly to bring APRS with you on the go, let alone before I was dabbling with it as a home station, which is kind of limited use, interesting to watch, but limited use on the go. But the HA2 just really brings it together, and it's a great tool again to get someone's interest. Well, what is that? What's that little symbol? What's that noise? And next thing you know, they might be thinking, well, that's cool. I could use that with scouts, with camping in traditional communications or down situation.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, speaking of trying to get people into radio and that kind of stuff, another thing that I have found too that gets some people thinking is, like I said, of course, I started with GMRS, and I've got a lot of friends that are on GMRS. So, like Aaron's point to that, around here, not many people do GMRS. So I would drive around with it scanning, just seeing what I can pick up. And a lot of times I did find like road flagging crews or some businesses that are using it. Just little things that stuff you didn't want to listen to unless you were just bored. But occasionally, and how that lady I was speaking to here in town that got her own a GMRS license, how I got in contact with her originally was as I was driving back from my post office, I heard a man and his son talking on a radio. And of course, GMRS, you don't know if it's a GMRS or an FRS or whatever it is, but you just pick it up on a GMRS signal. And he was talking to his son, and he said something like, well, don't go too far. And the son replied, I won't. I'm just down here by the apple tree on Washington Street. And the kid sounded like he's probably about 6 years old. So I tried to call out to him and say, hey, just so you know, everybody that's listening in on radio can hear what you're saying. And it's probably not a good idea to have a little 6-year-old saying, hey, I'm over here at the corner of this street and this street. That's, I in my little town, I don't think anything's going to happen, but you also don't want the guy in the windowless white van the next street up to hear that kind of stuff. So, just putting some radio safety stuff out there. And of course they had a pair of radios from another brand we won't mention, but everybody in this group's probably gonna know what I'm talking about when I say they like to ship the radios with the CTCSS tones already enabled, and they had their tones on, so they couldn't hear me talking. So I came back and I put it in our town's Facebook chat and just said, "Hey, if you are the parents of a younger child that were out in your backyard playing with radios, and you happen to mention exactly what street you were on, just a bit of friendly neighborhood advice. Don't let your kids say specifically where they are. Find things that only your family knows, like I'm at the house with the nice Dalmatian, stuff like that. So, things that only your family knows about, and the weirdos that wouldn't know exactly what you're talking about." And then the mom jumps on, and says, "Oh my God, that was my husband and my son. What did you hear?" And I was like, "Nothing bad. Just, putting it out there to be careful and teach your kids a little bit of radio etiquette." And next thing you know, now we're good friends, and she's learning all about radio and passing it on to her family. And they got a GMRS license. They got GMRS radios, and it's just little things like that, educating the community, and kind of gets people interested in radio here and there too. So
that's a really important point, actually, because I think a lot of people might not. Coming into it might not realize how easy it is to track someone down, unlike the internet, when you can hide behind an IP address or whatever, I can think of there's certain, because we've got our version of it's called PMR 446, and we've got it on 446 megahertz. And unfortunately, some schools, nurseries and places like that will buy these radios, not realizing that anybody can listen into them, which I think is a real problem. Obviously most people aren't going to have bad intentions, but you never know who's listening there. So I think there needs to be more education with that. Definitely they need to get onto like a secure, maybe a DMR system or something that's scrambled, or trunked, or just something a bit more advanced, because that is definitely a worry. So education's the way forward with that, 100%.
Yep.
Oh well, sorry to interrupt. I got a question for you guys. What do you want to see the feature or function on the radio?
Personally, for me, I would love to have more satellite integration. Maybe something that can download the CAPS, the orbits of the satellites and the space station, and also something that would sort of account for the Doppler shift on the radio. I think that would be quite a handy addition.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Aaron?
I think more affordable P25 would be nice. Because I would love to start getting into P25 and trunk and stuff like that, but getting into that stuff can get real expensive, especially if you're looking at like the big box companies that sell handheld radios for $8,000. Like, you guys are out of your mind. Like, how many do you sell of these a year? 3, 4?
Sorry. I'm a little laggy.
Oh, we can hear you
again. Yeah, we got you. You can hear you just fine.
I'm kind of hard pressed as to what feature I think would be next. I agree, as Mark mentioned, like the accounting for Doppler shift and your passes, that would be really neat. The thing I see though is if you start down one path like that, you become a more specialized radio, and well, that's a plus. That makes it harder for the R&D team to justify the marketing that radio toward one niche part of the market instead of to the wider range. APRS pretty well defined and out there. DMR, of course, that's a whole animal of its own, and it's nice that you have the analog capacity as well. So I'm not knocking anything that anyone said, but I'm hard pressed as to what my suggestion would be for the next thing moving forward. I'll just kind of leave it there. Interested to hear the opinion of others.
Well, I will say I own several different RETEVIS radios and the AIlunce radios. And one thing that I think AIlunce does well that could be carried over to the RETEVIS side is your HA1UV, your HA1G, and your HA2. They're all basically the same body style. They all use the same charging cradle, and they
Right.
all use the same CPS. I think that is fantastic. So then you start looking at some of your the RETEVIS lines, and I've got probably 4 or 5 at least different models, and they all use a different charging cradle. Uh, some of them have overlaps in CPS, some don't. So I personally would like to see the ideas of the HA1s and the HA2 kind of start being carried over to where you can change the way the radio looks a little bit, but try to keep it on the same style charging cradle and try to keep everything tied into the one CPS. So we just have the one program that can program all of the radios and the one dock that can charge all of the radios. So that way I'm not trying to fuddle around and find a different dock to charge this particular one and all that kind of stuff. So personally, I would lean more towards a hardware aspect first.
I would have to kind of agree, and I also think that the computer programming software could use some updating. I think it could use or be a little bit more user friendly. I know a lot of it's going over Bluetooth and stuff like that, but right now I like being able to plug into my computer and just flash all my radios with the same station, same program number, so I can pick up anything and know what station to tune to be where. And I just I don't know. For some reason I get a lot better ease out of using Chirp. And I feel like but Chirp doesn't work for all the radios. Like I have an A3 that Chirp won't work for that I have to use the CPS for. And I don't find it as user friendly and more of kind of, I don't know how to describe it. More intricate. I feel like there's more steps than it needs to be. Like, that GMRS stations are automatically a +5 offset. Can we build that into the program so I don't have to sit there and go through and put +5 for everything? And because I'm programming 150 stations and things like that. So I think somehow integrate or making the CPS a little bit more user friendly would be nice. And
So we got a RETEVIS app software here. Here, I don't know if you can see this. Yes, connect my radio. Yeah, here, and then first into add radios. Then hold on. Sorry. Connect, and then read data. And when you finish, you can program the channel settings on your phone. It's very easy. You don't need to use the CPS.
I must say, I find that feature really handy. It's the first radio I've had that you can connect up to the phone, and it just makes life so much easier. I mean, one improvement I would suggest might be the ability to import different file types, maybe like sort of. Yes. Is it comma separated files or whatever it is? Just so
the CSVs and stuff.
CSV.
Right.
That's
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
And that would make it so much easier instead of having to go. Yep, I agree. Because unfortunately, not all my radios are Bluetooth capable and things like that. So I can't always do that. So having something where you can enter or upload an old CSV. And you're good to go because having to copy and even copying paste is sometimes finicky. So I have to sit there and go through 142 ... or whatever and vice versa.
I mean, you kind of get fast as you get used to it, don't you?
Right.
But it would be easier just to, because there's so many of these kind of, I don't want to call them code plugs because I know that's a DMR sort of a terminology.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a CSV file. There's so many of these things online that you can just grab, like, you know, big lists of repeaters, and yeah, it just it would make life so much easier.
Yep. And like if I have emergency radios that I have programmed, just all the local radio or local police, fire, this, that, the other thing. Well, I'm getting those from a website and I can't just copy and paste those into your guys' computer program. I have to go through and manually enter every one of those in. So it's a lot it's a lot nicer if you can just somehow manually upload file. There you go. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any suggestions very welcome to provide, and I'm gonna accept the feedback and we're gonna improve.
Well, that's the great thing about your company. You know, you are
Mhm.
very open to people coming with ideas and feedback, and we love it. You know, it's great. Keep doing what you're doing. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. You don't see any other companies doing this.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh,
Back to that other company I had. I was talking about with that unnamed company. When I bought my first GMRS radios, I bought them from Amazon, and I had a battery. It was a 2-pack, and I had a battery go out in one of them 31 days after I purchased it. Got a hold of Amazon, and they said, "Yeah, that falls under manufacturer warranty. Get a hold of the manufacturer." Called the manufacturer. They said, "Oh, that sucks. You bought it from Amazon. Didn't buy it from us. We're not going to cover it." And I said, "I'm sorry. What?" They said it goes to you. They said, "No, you got to call Amazon." So I go back to Amazon. They said, "You have to call the seller, see if the seller will honor it." I said, "The seller says it was the company that manufactured it. They already said they're not going to do anything about it. So they said it goes to you." It was like 3 weeks later that finally Amazon said, "We'll give you a one-time exception." In the meantime, I bought these for hunting season. It's a week away. So they said, "We'll give you a credit for it. We have to receive the radios first to make sure you're sending us a dud." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So in the meantime, I was like, I'm done with this group. I'm not buying anything else from them. And that's got me looking over here. So then I get a hold of RETEVIS, and then I meet Julia here. And it's like, these people I can literally just send a Facebook message. And, I might have to wait a little bit because of the time difference between the US and China. Whoop-de-doo. But I'll get a message back within, a couple days at most. And they stand behind their product. I had a slight problem with one of my radios, and I was able to fix it myself. But Julia's over here. "If there is a problem, let us know. We'll replace it." And I'm like, I've had this radio for a year. I'm not worried about it. But, they actually stand behind their stuff over here. That other company wouldn't give me the time of day. I'm like, I'm not going back. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going back.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think we've all seen. I've heard the HA1G or HA1UV mentioned by, I think, everyone on the panel this evening. If you were with those radios from the start when the HA1G hit, and you look at the evolution and the features that have been added by the firmware updates and to the CPS and things, there's still always room for growth. But that's what's cool about it is RETEVIS and AIlunce listen and care, and they'll send it out to the beta testers. I'm assuming everyone here at some point has beta tested software, firmware, a radio, and it's amazing that there's a company that still cares like that anymore. That's a rarity nowadays. But if you look at that HA1G when I first purchased my first one to where it is today with a defined set of hardware in there, a lot of things changed because of firmware, software, and the want to produce a product based on customer feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just call Julia. It's okay.
Yep, just give
I
her a call.
will reply. Yeah.
She'll sort it out. Now, real quick before we move on, I want to address a comment here I just saw pop up over there from Facebook from Madonna. She said that she meant to renew a license, but with everything else, she forgot it, and it was too late. She wishes she still had the license, but doesn't know if there are any classes nearby and if she wants to take them again. So I don't know if she's asking if she needs to take the classes again to renew her license. But if that's the case, you don't have to take the classes again to renew your license. You just have to take the test again, and if you can pass the test, you can get your license back. The classes, no one actually has to take the class; it's just the test itself, and you can sign up for the actual test at any point in time with any of the examiners. The classes might help you refresh your memory, depending on how long it's been since you took the test, but you don't have to actually take the class if you don't want to.
There's also lots of free apps on the App Store you can just download, and it's literally, they have all the tests, questions, and answers, and you can go through and literally just study all the 12 different tests they have and all the different answers, and those are all free. Or you can YouTube, you got like Ham Radio 2.0 and Ham Radio Crash Course, those guys. They throw courses that are either relatively cheap or you can sometimes get stuff out of them for free. There's plenty of resources if you don't want to actually sit there and just take a class.
Okay. By the way, and if you guys have any feature suggestions, you just tell me and tell us, and I will argue with your engineer team and product team.
She does. Yeah. She does. I will vouch for that. She does. There have been several times I've had a question or something, I've sent it to her, and she immediately just passes it right on to them. And then she's called me, and I've been on the phone with her, and she talks to me in English, and I hear her yelling at the engineers in Chinese, and then she's back to me, and I feel like I'm in some kind of weird three-way call about something. But yeah, she does. She does. So.
Yeah, I will have them to definitely update and fix the bug and improve it.
There was a very unusual but specific bug that Julia and I found in the CPS for one of the radios. Julia did not back down until engineering fixed it. I was tickled to death. They were able to replicate the problem and corrected it, but she did not back down until it was right.
Oh, also, I have to say thanks to our product team and engineer team. It helps me a lot. Yeah, they are working harder, and you're often over time to help fix the issue, fix the bug, and improve the updates, update the feature functions. I really appreciate we have a great team. So we are also a community, right? We're just an online club.
Yep. Yeah, and I can second that. I'm very thankful for the equipment that they've gotten to me, everything that's worked well that I've had. And in all honesty, any issues that I've had have been very minor, or they've been due to my own ignorance. It's been stuff that I've been clicking the wrong button when I shouldn't have been hitting that, or it's been something stupid that I put in wrong in the CPS or something. And I'm sure at the RETEVIS headquarters been a couple of times they've been like, that idiot's sending us another message. But no. Overall, they've got it sorted out pretty well. And I can't speak for you guys and what your clubs and your areas are like. But where I'm at, on my repeaters and the people around here, all the time I hear them talking about brands like Yaesu and ICOM, and that's what most of them use. And I'm over here in my little neck of the woods using my RETEVIS and my AIlunce, and I've got a MA1 in my Jeep. That's the main mobile radio I use. And just a couple of days ago, I was heading out to one of the more remote areas around here that's really on the fringe of one of the ranges for our repeaters. And I was talking to the club president on that while I was out there. And he asked, of course, where I was. And I told him where I was at, how far out I was. And he goes, I can't believe you're out that far away and your sound is still as clear as it is. He goes, most everybody else is out there and I can't hardly pick them up. And I said, well, maybe you guys should open up your eyes a little bit and try out some newer equipment. Maybe, this brand isn't something you guys should be looking over, because I hear you guys clear as a bell and you're saying that I'm full quiet and coming into the repeater as far away as I am, so maybe there's something to it.
Yeah, I must say the audio quality of the speakers on the RETEVIS and AIlunce is absolutely fantastic. A lot of the rigs I've had in the past have very small speakers, and it's a badly made radio in the past, and it starts vibrating. Because it's not secured properly, but I must say the audio is always fantastic with these radios.
Yeah, I think price versus value, they're really hitting a sweet spot.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
All right. So,
Okay.
any other
Any
questions or
features
anything in the comments?
you want to see in
Anybody?
the radio or function?
Actually, Julia, one more function I was thinking about is it'd be quite nice to be able to have like a visualized sort of band. I'm not sure the right word. Not a waterfall exactly, but just like a scan of like maybe 1 megahertz or something, so you can see which stations are in that part of the spectrum, if that makes sense, like a visualized kind of meter. I can't remember the right word for it, but
So kind of like an
Yeah.
S meter.
And
yeah,
someone said a
Spectrum
band
sweep
shape.
or spectrum analyzer, spectrum sweep, I think.
exactly.
I've seen that on the modified software that I have on the RA79, I believe.
Yeah.
That you can look and see if there's adjacent frequencies that are busy.
Exactly that. Yeah, that would be really handy.
No problem. I will let them know.
Thank you. Amazing.
Okay, Scott, Hotfile, Scott. You can just interact with our comments or no more. If no more questions, our live stream is gonna to be end.
Yeah, I asked out there, and I'm not seeing anything else up. Someone did say that the term you're looking for might be called a band scope.
That's it. That's the one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah, other than that, I don't see anything else popping into the questions or anything. Just a couple of people thanking us, saying great job, and they enjoyed the program. So it looks like you might have to do this again sometime, Julia.
Okay. I'm gonna give a final speech.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So thanks you all for hanging out with me today. And I know after all those discussions, some of you might be still wondering if amateur radio worth in getting into, and someone who builds gear for his hobby. So let me take 1 minute to share what I truly think. First, I completely understand the frustrating when people saying the amateur die if you only have a handy hole, you scan empty repeaters, or some guy on a forum jump in to say, oh, that's illegal. Yeah, that felt awful. But a real part of a hobby today, the golden age of local VHF, UHF, recording is over. And there are always gatekeepers. I'm not going to pretend that doesn't exist, but I have also seen the other side. And right now, as we speak, startup hubs on the other things such as the club and the fox hunting and doing the POTA. And as a manufacturer, we don't just want to sell you a radio that has nothing but silence. We want to lower the barrier to the radio, simpler operation, reliable reception, and it shows that works whether you are into emergency communications, digital modes, or outdoor activities. You can start with a handheld or go straight to the mobile radio and other way. We want to help you to turn her say into the hands-on experience. And here's my final takeaway. Something I have learned from all those hubs out there. So don't sit around complaining that hobbies die. Just pick up a radio, upgrade your license, go active apart. Yeah, try it for yourself. You might just find that amateur radio isn't just alive. It's waiting for you to spark its next chapter. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. And 73, you guys.
Thank you so much. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it.
Yeah, catch you guys later.
It's a great
That's
time.
great.
7-3s, everyone.
Yep. Catch you later.
Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations. Our live stream is over.
Wow. I love that. That was great fun.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, had a good time on this one.
Yeah, I'd love to do it again if next time you do it. It's been brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
Always
By the
good
way,
times.
it's only our episode 1. We gotta keep it and continue doing it.
Nice.
Okay.
It seems people enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
So
Loads of
just
comments. It's great.
goodbye to our audience.
bye, folks.
Bye.
Oh, by the way, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark is a co-host on our broadcast. Mark, you can introduce your broadcast.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, I'm a producer and sort of sidekick on a station in the UK called Talk Sport, and we also go out on a station called Talk Radio as well. I think it's we're available on for you guys in the States. We go out on Sirius XM as one of the channels on there. As well as on medium wave and DAB, which is like a digital broadcasting over here and around the world. So yeah, so I am kind of transmitting on HF, but it's on medium wave as well as other things. So yeah, no, thank you, Julia.
Okay, just everyone one by one to say goodbye to everyone. Okay.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye.
KFA
Have a
easy,
good
wide,
night,
clear.
everybody.
What's race? Catch you guys
Good
later.
night. 7-3.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
73. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you next time.